Call the October meeting of the Anderson County Board of Commissioners to order. We'll start off with a prayer by Commissioner Creasy and the pledge by Commissioner Meade.
I'd like to say a word or two before I give the prayer. Last week from this past Wednesday, got an email from my church, the midweek devotion, and there was a prayer in the email by Reverend Jenny Kaufman, the minister, one of the ministers there at the church. And I was inspired by that prayer. A few days later, last Monday at the operations meeting, Commissioner Val gave a prayer very similar that also inspired me, and I felt like that it would be good to quote Reverend Kaufman's prayer tonight. And if you'll bear with me, let us pray. Wise, loving, and merciful God, may we dare to be honest with you, admitting when we have thoughts and feelings which are not loving. May we trust that you will help us to not act on these feelings, but instead may we ask for and be open to being transformed by your grace. For in choosing the path of love, we find you, and we move towards peace. And so it is that we turn to you and ask that you guide us, love us, and lead us. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge to our flag and salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we'll have the appearance of citizens. If there's anyone here in the audience that would like to speak on any item that's not on the agenda, you can come up and state your name and address and have 3 minutes.
Hello, my name's Karen Rakowski, and I live at 105 Royal Street, Ben's Mobile Home Park. And I'm here tonight. Several people, including myself, are tired of the drugs going on over there. I've turned in several names to the Sheriff's Department. When I call the Sheriff's Department and they come out here, some of them are very disrespectful. And I'm a taxpayer too and shouldn't be disrespected. Sheriff's Department can't have it both ways. All of us are tired of living here too. Why is nobody helping us? Why is nobody helping with these drugs and stuff? The good people that do live here, don't we have a right to live safe too? We really need the street lights to work. It's so dark in there. People could just come running into the trailer park even though it says 5 miles an hour. There is no stop signs. There is no lights that are fixed. I mean, it is dark there. When you drive on that road, you will miss it if you don't know where it is. And I really don't feel like having another car come through my house. I'm tired of the lawns looking bad and the trailers that are bad in there. The empty ones, we need to get them out of there. Roads need to be fixed. My family, including my 2 sons, have been protecting this country for 75 years. And we can't get nobody to protect us. That's bad. So I am asking you guys, if you don't care, just to help us out. You've got people willing to help you. And that we want to start a neighborhood watch. And I'm already turning in people that's doing drugs. So we need some more help from the commission on this. We do need lights in that place. We do need stop signs. And we need the trash out of there. My dad and my mom have lived there for 27 years. And it's pretty bad, me being in a wheelchair has to come out with my back to make sure nobody comes on my property. That shouldn't be. So I'm just asking for help, and we're willing to do whatever you guys suggest. We are willing to do. We've got over a dozen people in there that wants this to stop. That's it.
Thank you. Any comments from commissioners? Commissioner Wandell?
Karen, I didn't catch your last name, but I got
It's
your first name.
Rakowski.
Well, thank you for coming and speaking. We have been talking to the Mayor Frank, and she's got an engineering firm looking at some of the zoning issues there. I have to believe that our sheriff will step up and take care of the issue. Tonight's a good night. You have a judge sitting here. It's been a longtime judge of Anderson County right out front, Mr. Judge Layton. Next to him is our district attorney, Dave Clark. And then we also have the sheriff here as well. So if the message wasn't heard, I'd say they've heard it, and I got a strong feeling that they will take action and help in any way they can, as they've always had. So thank you for coming. You call me anytime. Commissioner Fritz is on the end. He's right here on the table. You have two commissioners in District 1. Commissioner Fritz is the senior commissioner, even though he doesn't look it. He is the senior commissioner.
Well, Dad told me to call you, so that's what I did.
Well, I appreciate your dad, but Chuck can do just as much, probably more, and he will, I think. So thank you. And I'd like to get with the community there. I think you told me there's roughly 24 people that would
If not more.
sign a petition to get some support, and I'll work with you and do all I can.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other comments from Commissioner? Go ahead, Stacy.
Hi, I'm Stacy Pratt with ASAP of Anderson. And thank you to Teresa who reminded me that we have our DEA take back this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Oak Ridge Police Department. It will be a drive-through so people can have a contactless way to discard their unused, expired medications so they're not left around homes, making access easier for people to obtain those. And to remind everybody, 24/7, 365, at all 5 of the police departments in Anderson County, they're able to go in just right in the front door and dispose of medicines at those bins. And also, I would like to just take this opportunity to remind everyone that our community coalition at ASAP, you see a couple staff members here, usually every month, one of us will be here. But our work is actually done through a community collaboration, and that includes you all as commissioners, but also citizens in the community who want to prevent substance misuse. And we need input from all 12 sectors of the community: schools, law enforcement, everyone. So you can go to asapofanderson.org. If you put your email into our newsletter, that's really just letting you know our updates for meetings and ways that you can be involved. So if you want to start on Red Ribbon Week and continue all year long, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Comments from commissioners? Does anyone else from the audience want to speak on anything not on the agenda? If not, Commissioner Isbell, did you want to take this time to give us a demonstration?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Over the course of the pandemic, you know that several commissioners have worked together and they're trying to make it as safe as possible for everybody that we come in contact with. And one morning about 5 o'clock, Commissioner Denenberg heard the same story on the NPR as I did. And then we got with Commissioner Meredith and we got together to do a joint effort. And what this is a home it's a system. I'm just going to read. This was actually, the concept came up with a scientist out in California for schoolrooms and stuff where they have marginalized communities. In other words, it's not a can't really afford the things like our school system has done, like our courthouse has done. I mean, they've done phenomenal efforts in putting the ultraviolet lights in our air handling system. But this here is for like, you could use it, of course you could use it in classrooms, but in Sunday school rooms and people's homes where they got a lot of kids or something like that. And I'm just going to read basically the guy that kind of came up with the idea, and we just ramped it up a little bit. And 3M has been so gracious because these are a special filter, and I've got the filter over there, I'll show you. Because what it does is actually it'll capture the filters of the flu virus or the COVID-19 virus and keeps them from being put out into the air. And Commissioner Denenberg and Commissioner Meredith, please feel free to help me out here. The idea is simple. The fan on top is blowing up, and that means it's sucking air in through the filters on the sides, explained Blair, a former physics grad student and open source enthusiast. As the air is poured through the filters, the vast majority of virus-laden particles are removed. The original idea for the DIY air filter comes from a man named Richard Corsa, the incoming dean of engineering at the University of California, Davis. One day, relatively early in the pandemic, of course, he was brainstorming how to make highly effective but also highly expensive HEPA-based portable air cleaners accessible to marginalized communities. He had a thought how to make a good air purifier at home. I'd shot this idea on Twitter. Of course, he recalls within 24 hours suggesting it. Jim Rosenthal in Texas had built this beautiful looking box with a fan attached. The idea took off. Rosenthal, the owner of Texas Air Filters, and of course he settled on an official name, the Corsi Rosenthal box. Of course, has a 31-year academic career with many millions of dollars of research and tons of publications. And still, he says the simple idea is perhaps the most significant thing he's done. A lot of people have been testing it and getting really good results. People are now reporting 600 cubic feet per minute in clean air delivery rates. That's phenomenal. That's actually better than a lot of the more expensive HEPA-based portable air cleaners. This means a lot since Corsi is a big advocate for HEPA-based air filters, which you can get at your local hardware store or online to plant at your desk in your classroom. The only issue is that price tag is often well over $500. And then he goes on about the schools and things like that. But I just want to show a collaborative effort between the commissioners to try to help out people at home, just anybody. And this, we've actually ramped it up. It's a steel box that we made. Put the fan on it, but it's got a bottom on it, and it's got the top on it that makes a vortex that actually pulls it more together.
Thank you.
Yeah, very good.
Any other comments? If not, we'll move on to the approval of the consent agenda. Give me a minute. Sorry. What? You have on the regular. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll do that, yeah. We'll take care of that. Got a motion by Commissioner McCamey to approve the consent agenda, seconded by Commissioner Smallridge. Commissioner Denenberg, did you have anything?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the chair of the Intergovernmental Committee, I need to make some corrections to the minutes from our last meeting. Our minutes should read that Commissioner Wandell made a motion to bring to intergovernmental the subject and work, I guess we're going to say, regarding the dispatch inclusion of Rocky Top and Norris in with Anderson County. As I said, Commissioner Wandell made the motion, and correct me if I'm incorrect, Commissioner Val, did you second it as well?
As I recall.
Because I was having to remember this after I had slept, and you know how that goes. The motion passed unanimously, and was forwarded to this body for discussion and approval. And also, one of the other things that was not included, and I assume it needs to be on here too, is that we discussed to invite Mark Lucas for our November meeting to discuss issues with dispatch and that sort of thing. So,
You okay with approving with those corrections? All right.
thank you.
Any other changes to the consent agenda? If not, let's, all those in favor of approving is amended? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we've got the regular agenda approval. Commissioner Yeager.
I need to make a few changes here, if you can indulge me. On Law Director section, I need to move letters H, K, and L to the operations portion of the meeting. And add the road superintendent personnel policy item to the Law Director section. Is that right, Law Director?
Yes.
Yeah, on the Law Directors. So those are my two things.
Okay, and you want to add Catherine's? Commissioner Val.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to add the request from the purchasing agent. We can put that under her report. Yes, that's an excellent place to put that.
All right.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Former
that's the-
Parliamentarian.
What are we calling that? Just item, or MBI?
MBI.
Okay. Any other changes or corrections to the regular agenda? Do we have a motion to approve? Got a motion by Commissioner McCamey, seconded by Commissioner Yeager. Any other discussion on approval of the regular agenda? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll have the public hearing report by Vice Chairman Shane Vowell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This evening at 6 o'clock, we had a public hearing for a rezoning of property located at 466 Marlowe Circle. That is parcel number 058, map 087. That is a rezoning of I-2, Heavy Industrial District, to A1, Agriculture Forestry District. And if it be in order, I make a motion. That's already been, I'm assuming, made to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion by Commissioner McCamey, seconded by Commissioner Scott to approve. Any discussion? All right, do we need a board vote for these? For a zoning change? Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. Let's go to the board and vote. Motion passes unanimously. Any more public hearing report?
That be it, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, sir.
Okay. Item number 6, departments. We've got General Sessions Court requested by Judge Layton and General Dave Clark.
Thank you. We've come tonight not to ask for money. So, yay, that's kind of like seeing a relative show up to your house with food, isn't it? What we wanted to do tonight was to advise you of a proposal we have for the county. As you know, many of you know, we have more people in jail on probation, parole in America per capita any place in the world. Many of these people, if you've heard of this lady tonight, are people that she lives with or out there that are drug offenders. Now, we have created many recovery courts in the state of Tennessee. Anderson County has a felony recovery court. The state has appreciated the need for these courts by increasing funding from $11 million to over $31 million. In 2011, I wrote a letter to then County Mayor Myron Iwanski asking to create a misdemeanor court for drug users. The reason I proposed that was that I felt that these people were new, their age, their addiction level, their circumstances. Well, nothing happened. We talked about it briefly. He wrote me a letter and said he would get to it under the alternatives program. Well, as time passed by, other commitments, it went on the back shelf. But when Judge Ellis retired, I was asked to serve on the felony drug court for 2 months with Commissioner Val and others. And it rekindled my desire and my interest, having watching these people come through the misdemeanor court, to have such a court. Bring about, even though incarceration is a significant part of punishment for drug offenders, rehabilitation is necessary. And as I've said, if we can do this at the misdemeanor level, we will get to these younger offenders and perhaps change their attitude toward drugs before their addiction becomes so great. At the felony level, many of these offenders have been arrested 4, 6, many times. Is that not true, Commissioner? Yes, in there. I'm here only tonight along with General Clark, and I want to thank him for his willingness to assist in this program. He's a very good DA. He works with the General Sessions Court all the time, and I want to thank him. We're requesting from you no money, but public support by this commission of the creation of the misdemeanor drug court. General Clark, want to say anything?
Just briefly, this problem is an intractable one that plagues every state in our nation, every community in Tennessee. We are finding that the problem has changed dramatically in the last couple of years with the advent of fentanyl. As you heard, our overdose deaths are up as a result of fentanyl being sold mixed with other drugs. I had 1 week, a few weeks ago, I was telling school children about this issue, and we had eight young people in Anderson County, not juveniles, but young adults, die in 1 week, all of them from fentanyl overdose. That was relatively rare a few years ago. The problem is, once they get started and pretty far down the pike, it's very, very difficult to fix that problem. So the idea is to try and intervene earlier in that drug addiction cycle to try and stop some of these deaths and the community problems that are associated with addiction and the theft and all of those sorts of things. So we want to try different things and find new and innovative solutions to attack the problem, and this is one of those efforts, so we would appreciate your support.
Anyone have any questions? Again, we're not asking for money, we're just asking for moral support and your attaboy, atta person about this, because it's something we need. There are other counties that do have it, not a lot, but we have the resources in place already with the Alternatives Director and the Alternatives Program. So once we can get together, working with the mayor's office, working with the other support groups that work with felony drug court, maybe visit a few places, I think this is a program that could be instituted in a reasonable period of time with a minimal cost to the county, because we do already have an alternative director and we do have money available. And the only thing I can say is, I'm sorry I wasn't here 10 years ago rather than waiting this long, but having had that personal experience at felony drug court rekindled what I thought was a good idea, and obviously we appreciate your support. Any questions?
Commissioner Meade.
Yeah, this to me sounds like a great idea, because early intervention is really the thing we're looking for. And all of us in this room know that drugs, directly or indirectly, is a major cause of all crime just about in public in the United States today. The other question I had is this likely to result in an increase in the number of these people that are in the jail for a while? I mean, it looks like we have room in our present jail, but some of our jail right now is shut down, I guess. Is the sheriff still here?
Well, this program would be designed as an alternative to the incarceration. It would start with individuals who would be screened in such a manner to give them the alternative to change their lifestyle, to be monitored on a regular basis for their drug use, and prevent them from going to the jail. There are other programs at the jail that are designed to minimize recidivism in the past, but this is not designed to be a program that would enhance the jail population, but would preclude
Okay.
these people from ever going to jail.
So
And
this
maybe
enacted
give them the
before that.
opportunity to complete a program successfully and keep their records clear, which would help them getting job opportunities and whatever. If, for lack of a better word, we've all heard of the one dog bite rule, dog gets one free dog bite. Well, this would be an opportunity for people who are addicted to drugs to demonstrate they want to change their life. They want to do something different. And if they do, with the compassion of the DA's office operating in justice, they would have that opportunity. So it should not enhance the jail population at all. I think the felony drug court now has 6 people in it.
Yes, sir.
So it's not going to be a matter of everybody comes through there, oh, I want to go to drug court. It's going to be selective. It's going to be, you're going to try to pick the people who have the greatest chance of changing their life. And so it'll have to be, there'll be a community selection process. It's the way it works in felony drug court. Again, I was only there 2 months, but Commissioner Val can tell you, but it appears an application is made, the district attorney general provides input, the defense lawyer provides input, then the drug court committee evaluates the status of the applicant. If the applicant appears to be sincere, if the applicant appears to be someone who could be helped by drug court, and there's no disqualifier in the record, then they're allowed to go into the drug court. That doesn't, and that's a long process. It could be 24 months, 36 months. There, one of the drawbacks of this program was I only have jurisdiction for 11 months and 29 days. But even so, an intense working with a person who's not been in the drug culture for 20 years, for 1 year of intensified weekly classes, monitoring, accountability may help them. Because if we're just going to wait till they get to that 4-year sentence or 6-year sentence, I think we're missing a golden opportunity. But it should not at all have any negative impact on the jail population.
So are you aware of other counties or other jurisdictions that are using a similar program?
There are
like
2 or 3
Spectrum?
counties, and I think Knox County has some. I know they do down in West Tennessee. There are not many misdemeanor drug courts for lack of resources or whatever. We're blessed because you have already recognized the need for alternative programs, and you have funded that position. So it's not like we're coming in and saying, we've got to hire a new drug person. We've got a person in place. We have a role model. So I anticipate what would happen is work with the mayor and the DA and everyone, we'd get together and see what's going to other counties. They have manuals, they have funding, they have grants, all of these things. The main purpose was let you know that we're wanting to do this and wanting you to be for it. And half of what we heard here tonight is either drugs negative or drugs positive before us. So we know they're there and they're a problem. So to answer your question, it would not be.
And if the motion here is to have a resolution supporting this, I'm in favor of it. Thank you.
We're not asking for any money. As I said, we brought food to the meal, and all we want is an amen for the program if you feel that's appropriate, if it's in order.
Commissioner McCamey.
General Clark, how would this affect juveniles?
Juveniles would not come under the jurisdiction of this court. There are juvenile drug courts. I know there's an active one in Cleveland, Tennessee. So I don't think they would be caught up in this proposal per se, but that's something else that we may want to continue to look at. Again, the earlier we can intervene.
Right.
I was telling you about school children. We've talked to, I guess, every school student body in Anderson County in the last few months other than Norwood Middle, and we're headed there. So we want to find new and different tools to try and attack the problem in different, more efficient ways, and that's really what this represents, is a new tool for us to use for a select group of people for which it would be appropriate.
I wish you would consider one for juveniles and come back to us and talk to us about that, because as you know, I deal with a lot of juveniles, and I see this problem on a monthly basis. And like you said, the earlier you can get started, the better.
And I don't want to leave the impression that we aren't working on juvenile drug addiction problems, and the court is very active in that, as is my office and the probation staff you already have in place in terms of drug testing, monitoring, school attendance issues, trying to address any problems that might be at home. that could be resulting in that drug addiction problem. So that's been happening, but a drug court in juvenile court would add additional emphasis and some new procedures that may be worth looking at.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Denenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Judge Layton, Dave Clark, this is phenomenal, and thank you very much. But like Commissioner McCamey, I was a little disappointed to hear that this was not including juveniles, because I had a feeling that what you were bringing to us tonight did include the juveniles. But you're certainly going to get an amen from me, Judge Layton. And, you know, as soon as we can hear from you that there is something more substantial and directed towards juveniles, I'll certainly be in support of that as well.
But we certainly will work with the Operations Committee, keep them advised of what we're doing through the mayor's office and whatever. As Joe Clark says, we have no authority over the juveniles, but he's correct. They have lots of programs over there. And if they want a drug court, if we can get this up and running, it'd be very easy to roll it over into the juvenile. That we could do the groundwork, and they have full-time probation officers, which we don't in Sessions Court. We have contracted officers, but yes, it could be moved into there very, very easily, and should be. But again, that's up to Judge Hunt.
That's
Yeah.
all right. And we'll be happy to reach out to Judge Hunt. Many of the principles of drug court are things that are routinely done in juvenile court. It's more frequent appearances in front of the judge, more close monitoring than can be done in felony court. So it would not be a stretch for those things that are sort of already being done to be packaged into a juvenile drug court. But they are very active in trying to address that problem already. A juvenile drug court would just be a slightly different way and repackaged way of doing that. I'm sure he would be open to that discussion.
Good to hear. Thank you both very much.
Thank you. Let me get Commissioner Scott to state her motion, and then we'll get Commissioner Creasy.
Thank you very much. I'd like to make a motion to provide full support to Judge Layton and General Clark in the efforts for them to create a misdemeanor drug court.
Right, seconded by Commissioner Meredith. And Commissioner Creasy, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I just want to say, I highly commend both of you. You both have shown great leadership in this county for a number of years. And you put that example again before us tonight, and I want to commend you both for this move. I have a feeling you'll be setting an example for the rest of the state. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Meredith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you both. We appreciate it. Continue to love the food. I'm about to say amen. Amen votes unanimously, so you got my strong support. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Commissioner Wandale.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I want to thank Judge Layton and District Attorney Clark for all they've done. You know, Mr. Chairman, I've been sitting here for some time now, and I think they've already said, the judge and the DA, that the problem's not getting any better, and that's the reason for this request. My question is, when I sat up here, and it seemed like we had some momentum going, Mr. Chairman, we had ASAP heavily involved. We had them involved in our schools. We were educating our kids. I felt like the schools were a part of it. I felt like all of us were a part of it. I don't think this is any secret, but until we have a unified voice as a county, whether it's the churches, local legislators, the judges, whoever, until we have a unified voice saying we're going to fix this problem, I don't see the problem going away. The next problem is money. Both sides. Money to fight it and the money that's keeping it in play. That's the part that bothers me, because I wonder who's going to have enough courage to make it stop. It's not easy. It's risky. But I'm hopeful that we will start with this misdemeanor court and start taking some action to, you know, for me, one commissioner, as Commissioner Meade said before, I don't speak for everybody here, and he's correct, I do not. But I'll certainly speak for myself. until we get the right kind of mentality, I do not want drugs in my county. I make no bones about it. I don't care what kind of drug it is. Fentanyl is just one that's killing us more readily now. And, you know, what I liked about ASAP, they would educate you. You can get an aspirin at school handed to you. It could have fentanyl in it. It could kill you. I mean, it looks like it. They're making pills up to look like things. And so the message there is from ASAP, don't take any medication unless it's coming from your parents. So I'm in favor. I'm willing to serve on any committee, any body. I'm willing to ride in police cars. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to be a player in it to eliminate the drugs in Anderson County. I know we're not going to eliminate them all, but I sure think we can make a major impact on it if that's the decision we want. I know in every district we have people walking around on streets and they're on drugs. We need solutions, and part of that is jobs and mental health and all above, but can't fix them all in one night. But anyway, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Isbell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to say something as the rest of my colleagues have. We really appreciate the job you're doing. And like I said, I appreciate the job that the sheriff and the DA is doing now in District 4. We have seen a significant, starting to see a big change. I know we don't talk about it because we don't want it to lapse back. But I do know of some things that the Sheriff's Department DA has done, and I want to say thank you because it is making an impact.
I hasten to add, Anderson County has been unique in a lot of ways in combating drugs. As the judge talked about the alternatives to incarceration program, our fight against the opioid manufacturers, many of them have been bankrupted, some as a result of your lawsuit. A lot of progress has been made, but the problem continues to shift. Had we been here 15 years ago, we would have talked about the scourge of homemade meth and the meth lab explosions in Anderson County, the fires that resulted from them, the contamination that the fumes caused our children. That problem has largely been solved. The opioid pill problem is much reduced as a result of efforts that have been made. The fentanyl problem is sort of the new and even more dangerous thing, and we had heroin that is still with us that is between those. And so it's always evolving. And so we do have a tremendous number of challenges, and Commissioner Wandell's exactly right. The solutions are multifaceted. But you have done a lot of things, and a lot of things that you have done have been successful. And our county is in better shape than most of the counties that surround us, and in much better shape than the state average. So I think a lot of folks in our community are to be commended, but we have a lot of heavy lifting to do to eradicate this problem, that's for sure.
Thank you. If there's no other discussion, let's go to the board and vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Amen.
Okay, next we've got committee reports. We'll have the purchasing report by purchasing agent Catherine Ashmery.
Good evening, everybody. So we just have a few contracts. We have two under Section A approved by the law director, and those are both with ADT, one for the county clerk and one for the circuit court clerk, submitting for your approval, either individually or as a group.
Motion by Commissioner Fritz to approve as a group, seconded by Commissioner Scott. Any discussion? Go to the board and vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Next, we have a request to surplus 3 capital assets, all pretty old Crown Victorias from the sheriff's office, submitting for your approval individually or as a group.
Motion by Commissioner Denenberg as a group, seconded by Commissioner Yeager. Any discussion? Commissioner Wandell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Catherine, did you say 3 items, or?
There's 3 different vehicles they're requesting to surplus there. 2009, 2011, and 2005 Ford Crown Victorias.
I must be on the wrong page. I see a 1998 Ford Windstar, 2009, 2010, 2011.
Yes, sir. That's the one that y'all approved last month, and that's just giving the amount that it ended up going
Yeah, I'm on
for.
September agenda, so I'm staying on top of things. Thanks for the clarification. Well, I've been read all day.
Any other questions? Commissioner Scott?
Thank you. Just a quick question, Catherine. Are you finding that you're having better luck with selling them through the avenue that you're using? And I ask that because the starting bid on the 1998 Ford Windstar van was $300, and the winning bid was $1,010.
I'm not sure. I'd have to really look at the history of what we have historically had a starting bid and the winning bid for our vehicles. We're still using GovDeals, so I don't think our platform hasn't changed. I don't know if the customer base has changed at all, if people are trying to buy more really used. But I could certainly look into that and give you that information.
Thank you very much. That's all.
Thank you. Commissioner Val?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To try to answer Commissioner Scott's question, years ago, we auctioned off vehicles in the front yard of the jail. And we usually have them on Saturday mornings, and the process that we had, giving numbers and checking everything. And based just solely on my memory, which I'm kind of with Commissioner Wandell, sometimes my memory is better than others, we're making more money now than we were back when we did it in person.
I thought the numbers have gone up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Since I've been here, we've been using GovDeals, but I haven't been here that long. And GovDeals does have this function where the bid doesn't close until I think a certain time has passed since the last person bid. So even if somebody's still bidding, the numbers could still keep going up. So yeah, it's a good platform for us to use. And we have folks even from other states bidding on them.
Commissioner Denenberg?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. From what I'm hearing on the cost of used vehicles, that may have something to do with why the prices are what we're getting is a little higher than it has been in the past too. Because they're certainly probably getting a better deal than just going out to a lot or something. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And then thank y'all very much for adding the contract with MBI as a new business item under this report. So now I'm submitting that for your approval. It's a contract for the schools to do some architectural services for construction work out at Norris Middle School, including the addition of 6 classrooms. Submitting for your approval.
Motion to approve by Commissioner McCamey, seconded by Commissioner Isabel. Discussion, Commissioner Meade.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Jay, is 6.25% kind of standard for the design of a project like that? That's pretty standard, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'm in favor of this. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Motion passes unanimously.
That's all the action items I have.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank
Oh,
you.
Commissioner Smallridge.
No,
You good?
I'm sorry, I messed up with my computer here.
Oh. Next, we'll have the budget report by Finance Director Robbie Holbrook.
Thank you, Chairman Anderson. All right, jumping right into the cash and fund balance report. For September, these are unaudited numbers still. I keep saying we're going to close any day, which I think we'll close this week, honestly, but 100% not sure. On the general fund line, restricted funds are $979,623. Committed funds, $2,171,246. Assigned funds are $2,161,322. Unassigned fund balance is at $10,232,760 for a total fund balance of $15,544,951. And our cash ending September was $12,898,667, which is up from $10.2 million last year at this time. Any questions on the cash and fund balance? Okay, moving on to the sales tax report for August. The county as a whole was up 5%, 3.7 million. And Anderson County's portion, we were up 11% this month. So still getting good numbers with sales tax. Yes, sir.
Commissioner Yeager.
Is this a new category on
Yes,
out
I'm-
of state?
Thank you for mentioning that, because I meant to even actually talk about that. We are collecting a new sales tax from out-of-state sales tax, and I talked about this in Budget Committee this month. And I even talked to the auditors about it, because I thought, okay, here's the chance for us to get more money, but it's divided amongst the schools and the cities. So the county, the general fund doesn't actually receive any more money, but the county will. And this month it was $44,262.69. So when someone orders something out of state, but it's delivered here, we're starting to collect sales tax on that also, so. New category.
They're out of state, but it gets delivered here.
Yes, to a customer, like if I order something to my address, then
Oh, okay.
depending on where I live.
44,000 sounds pretty good for that.
Yes, that will fluctuate each month, they said, depending on their sales tax, but.
Christmas is coming.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a good thing.
Commissioner Smallridge?
Yes, Robbie, even, that's
sir.
from out of state, but how is that distributed? The same way that?
That is distributed. Any out-of-state dealer making a sales to a customer within the state shall report to the department information as prescribed by the commissioner and is required under TCA 676504, which doesn't really answer your question. The way I understand it, from the audit, is the schools, if it's in the county, they get 50% of it, and the cities get the other half of it. So it's just it all goes to the schools, so.
What goes to the counties based on where it's.
Right, if it's.
Where it's delivered to?
Yes, if it's in a county address, then I'm assuming Anderson County Schools will get that portion. And it's the first time we have received this, and there was a lot of questions, and we're still learning more about it. And I'm still asking questions about it, but that's the way I understand it right now, so.
Does it have any restrictions or earmarks for
No,
what it can?
does not.
Commissioner Blundell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So Robert, this is the first month that we've received it,
Yes, sir.
and that amount, the 44,262.69 is.
Yes.
So how does those funds get expended? I mean, do you have this discussion in Finance Committee, or does it move on from Finance to Budget?
So when it comes into the Anderson County trustee, all the sales tax does, and they distribute it to the cities and the county. And the county's divided three ways. Our school department, which receives half of all sales tax collected, and the county, which we split with the road department, like 67-33. So all of these out-of-state collections would go to the schools.
I was just kind of asking.
And it's just like, so what goes in 141 into the sales tax code that we normally put all the sales tax in each month.
So one of the committees, the Finance or the Budget, they look at these funds and say we need to split 50-50, cities, county, to the schools?
No, that's a state mandated.
It just happens that
Yes,
way?
it comes in like that, yes.
And then the trustee sends it over?
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you for clarification. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner McCamey.
Robbie, you said it's split between schools and the cities.
Yes.
Are you talking about the city school systems
Yes,
in Oak Ridge and Clinton? And everything outside of that would go to the Anderson County school system?
this, right here I found it. The county is responsible for making the further distributions to education and to the cities within your county. PC 491 states that 50% of the out-of-state formula amount received is allocated to education. The remaining 50% is allocated based on the local option percentage obtained in the out-of-state percentage breakdown report. So that's how it's, so when our out-of-state collections all goes, the general fund receives none of it, or the highway, it's all schools and the cities, is the way I was explained by the audit. So,
Okay, and the cities, theirs has to go to schools also?
yes, yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? I'll try to get more information about this and understand it better, because I was emailing audit about it as soon as I found it. I said, okay, this is a new category, what's going on here? So we're getting more money. I was excited because I thought, okay. But, which is good for Dr. Perry. Yeah, and I'm excited for always excited for that. So, any other questions? All right, moving on to the budget amendments. In Group 2 appropriations by the school, there was only one for $750,000. It is for capital improvement. It's for the school. A lot of it is with ADA, sidewalk improvements, sidewalk for learning pavilion, CHS phone system improvements, and CHS greenhouse ADA sidewalk improvements.
Motion by Commissioner Meredith, seconded by Commissioner Scott. Any discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you. There's no Group 3 or Group 4. In Group 5 appropriations, non-school, 3 through 11, 13, 15, 16, and 17. Seeking approval as a group, individual, or I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Motion by Commissioner Denenberg to approve as a group, seconded by Commissioner Smallridge. Commissioner Scott.
I'd like item number 8 pulled out of this for discussion.
Sure. I don't know if Nathan was serious, but he told me he had a demonstration, and I think it pertains to item number 8. So,
Are you okay with your motion being everything except item 8? Do you want to vote on the rest of them?
If Commissioner Scott feels the need, I'll acquiesce.
Okay. Commissioner Smallridge, are you okay with that?
Yes.
All right, if there's any other discussion, let's go to the board and vote on everything except item 8. Get that out of the way. Motion passes unanimously. Did you say on item 8?
yes,
Did
I
somebody?
won't go over it. I'm pulling it out right now,
okay.
sorry. Item 8, from EMS, it's decreasing fund balance, $273,898, and increasing other equipment by the same amount. It's requesting to use EMS funds for the purchase of patient care equipment in order to achieve our Advancing Patient Care Initiative, bringing in great patient care equipment and procedures, launching critical care program and mobile integrated healthcare practices. There's also a document attached in the budget materials that explained all of this, and I think Nathan's in the hall, so I'm gonna take a peek out here real quick if you have any questions for him.
Sorry, TV wasn't working out there, so I do not know what the question is. Andy said he's gonna get it fixed.
Regarding item number 8, the $273,898 that you're requesting.
Yes, ma'am. So we did show this device at Budget Committee, and I believe there were some other commissioners that were there for that as well. So I think there's about 6 of you that haven't been able to see this this Lucas device, which is one of the pieces of equipment that's on that that request. So we wanted just to give you guys a little bit of a preview of what that looks like and how it would impact the work that we do. So specifically, the Lucas device is targeting cardiac arrest and CPR. So there are many areas in the county that we would respond out to that you will face where it's just you and your partner on the truck, especially during the day in some of the more volunteer departments where they don't have as many personnel to respond and help. This situation right now, when we face it, we've got 2 crew members, so when you're doing CPR, you got 1 crew member that's doing chest compressions and 1 that's doing ventilation. So at Budget Committee, Andy said I had to stay behind the mic, so I brought 2 people this time to help facilitate that with Shift Supervisor Devin Gillum, Paramedic Rebecca Pace. So they'll just show you just a couple quick cycles of CPR. So again, you got 1 provider that is dedicated doing the compressions on the chest, and then you have 1 provider that's doing the ventilations. We took some liberties here, of course, because this is not an actual CPR. We don't have our PPE equipment on, and we don't have all of our other equipment, and we've already got the patient intubated, so we don't have to take too long for this presentation. But you run the cycle of 30 to 2, and you continue to do that for however long that we would run that cardiac arrest. But there's a lot of other things that we can do and should do when we're working a cardiac arrest, getting intravenous or intraosseous access to push medications, to push fluids, to try and figure out what's caused the cardiac arrest, knowing what rhythm they're in, a cardiac monitor, defibrillating the patient with cardiac monitor, and many other things to try and figure out what's going on. So the change from this to the piece of equipment for the Lucas device that we're looking to, and the auto vents that we're looking to bring is, you'll see the difference between that. So the idea is we would have 1 of these on each of our 911 ambulances and 1 for the shift supervisor, so that when they respond out to the call, they'll already have the piece of equipment on their truck, or if all of our trucks are tied up, the supervisor can respond and we'll have this piece of equipment there as well. So this comes with 3 batteries. The battery life fully charged is 45 minutes. Typically, we won't work a cardiac arrest to doing chest compressions for any longer than that. So 1 battery, full battery charge should provide enough for a full cardiac arrest. If it does not, we will have additional batteries to do that. The auto vent, it is not a ventilator, although the name kind of makes it sound like it is. It's technically a respirator. And the respirator is what will provide breaths per minute. We can set the tidal volume. We can make it adjustments for other measures. And this device not only is for adults, it's also for pediatrics. Now the Lucas device, the compression device, is not for your infants and your small kids. It's going to provide too much of a surface area that they won't have. But the ventilator, the auto vent, the respirator, can be used for pediatrics if it's needed. So before, you had 2 providers and their hands were tied up. With these 2 devices, the providers are now able to do and address other issues and other things that need to be addressed, including getting the patient ready for transport. Another great thing is when we start transporting, you have no provider who is unrestrained standing up in a fast-moving vehicle doing chest compressions. I've been there multiple times, and it is scary when you get that sudden brake check and you're unrestrained and standing up in the back of an ambulance. We shouldn't have that now. With this thing continues to operate and function while we're driving, keeping them restrained, keeping them in their seat, and letting them continue to assess and address other things that come up. So we can go ahead and turn it off for a second. So we want to kind of give you guys be able to see what we're looking to bring to what we do, our response and our community response. This is going to be the greatest asset out in the more rural communities. You get into Oak Ridge, you're close to the hospital, but Oak Ridge Fire Department has plenty of personnel that do a phenomenal job on chest compressions. Clinton, same, paid department, but they're about the only two that are a fully paid department that you're going to have that consistent response with you. Any of our trucks can respond out to the county, so every one of our 911 trucks should have this piece of equipment in case they get response out to there.
I don't have documentation of what everything is costing. So the 273,898, is that providing one per unit, or is this
No, this
for
is just-
a unit?
Yeah, this is just part of it. I believe in the budget documents, there was a breakdown, but I don't know if that made it to commission. But we did submit a breakdown. I've got a copy right here. I brought it. Thanks, Robbie. So this was these two were the most expensive items. The chest compression device is about $136,000. The auto vents, thank you all very much. The auto vents are about $67,000. We also have some air track video laryngoscopes. Those are $8,200. We are replacing our ventilator. We have one ventilator. We really should have two. And the ventilator we have is old, and it actually failed on a transport this past week. It needs to be replaced, and we're looking to buy two ventilators. That'll be around $30,000 each. We are looking at getting two epoch blood analysis systems. Total, that's $18,500. IV pumps for each, for 7 of those, $6,300, and those would be on our 7 911 ambulances. And then a Butterfly IQ ultrasound device, which is right around $8,000 for 2. And those were all the items that make up that amount.
Nathan, I have to tell you, I appreciate having you bring out the equipment to show not only us, but the people at home.
Yes, ma'am.
Where the money's going, what it's being utilized for. And I'm good with that. I appreciate it very much.
Yes, ma'am.
I do have a question for you, sorry. The code on our agenda is showing that it's going to asphalt?
No, 118-551-30790, other equipment.
It says asphalt on my agenda. Okay, asphalt.
In the minutes, I apologize for that,
Oh,
yes.
okay, very good. Thank you.
I was
That's all
looking at the
have.
amendment. We'll correct that. I don't think they need asphalt in EMS.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why I had a question about it.
I will-
I mean, I was looking at all this EMS.
You know, we lost Peyton, he did our
justification.
minutes, and we have someone new do them this month, and it's their first time, and we checked these a million times, and we missed that, I apologize.
It's okay. Thank you, but thank you, Nathan.
Any other questions or comments for Nathan? All right, we've got a motion by Commissioner McCamey to approve, seconded by Commissioner Fritz. Let's go to the board and vote. Motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you. In Group 6 appropriations that affect the unassigned fund balance, there are 2, 12, and 14 for $2,000 and $5,500.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Fritz, seconded by Commissioner McCamey. Any discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. And in Group 7 miscellaneous, in Section A with the Rocky Top Norris Dispatch, there was a discussion, no action was taken. Section B was the fiscal year 21-22 capital outlay needs, the smaller items, no action was taken there also. Section C, the Tennessee ARP water infrastructure grants, there was a discussion there with no action. Section D, Child Advocacy Center, no action was taken there. And under new business, there were 2 Sheriff's Department BAs passed, and we covered those under Group 5 appropriations 16 and 17. So that's all I have tonight, unless you have any questions for me.
Commissioner Wondell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize, I didn't get a chance to ask a question. I supported it, and I still do. The $20,000 going out to Gibbs Ferry,
Yes.
it says new fishing pier. Are we going to replace the pier that's there? Or
Yes.
what about?
That's my understanding.
I've had a lot of requests for a boat ramp for people to tie their boats off when they launch. Is there a way we can look at that process at the same time? Is it possible?
I can, yes. I mean, I know that's been a discussion in the parks agenda, but I will mention that to Ben and,
Thank you.
well, actually, Josh is the chairman of
Commissioner
conservation.
Meredith, I think.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Wondell, the mayor and I talked about taking that out of the CARES Act money for that. I'd get that same call.
Yes.
Personally.
Yes, I do too.
That
Yes,
same
yes,
call, with my boat as well.
Thank you, Robbie. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Commissioner Meredith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also have been asked the very same thing from constituents up in our district, so that area is used quite often apparently to launch boats, so we would also appreciate that as well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank y'all.
Have a good evening.
Thanks,
I'll
Robbie.
get those minutes corrected also. You're welcome.
Okay, next we've got Director of Schools, Dr. Parrott.
Thank you, Chairman Anderson. It's a pleasure always to come before commission. I hope you got a chance to read our newsletter this month. There was a lot of great stuff in it. Just want to highlight a few things. As you know, we had 3 reward schools, Andersonville Elementary, Norris Elementary, Fairview Elementary schools this year. That means they had achievement and growth in the top 10% in the state. And along with that, we had 6 other schools, Clinton High School, Anderson County High School, Grand Oaks Elementary School, Dutch Valley Elementary School, Norwood Middle School, and Anderson County Career and Technical Center that were a level 5 in growth. That's the highest you can get in the state in growth. So we're excited about what they did through a pandemic. We had a lot of schools that were 4, and I think we're going to do better than that this year. Just a little update on our Sr3 Grant. We do have that approved now. Part of that money is what you all approved tonight was the 6 classrooms at Norris Middle School. We're also going to do some renovation at Norris Elementary School. We're going to redo the windows and the walls, put a lot of brick up there the way we did at down at Dutch Valley. Norris, other than that, we've got Lake City Middle School that we're going to redo the front of that school with new windows, put new windows in the gym. We're actually going to put the windows back in the auditorium. They were put with the windows, you couldn't see out of them, and you can't really do anything with them. I'm going to put in those and put in screens that come down, blinds that will come down. Lake City Elementary School, a lot of HVAC and new windows in their auditorium, things like that. And we're working with ESG on that project. It's about a $4.5 million project. And so I think that that will really and truly, other than we're still waiting on that infrastructure bill to go through. Our plans are, when we do that, is to have the new school at Claxton. We're still working on trying to get, right now, everything is so busy. We did a bid on our track for Clinton High School. It took us almost 6 months to get everything done on that to do the bid. The bid come in, there was only one bidder, and they can't start on it till next May. And so everything is so far behind. That's why we're trying to get everything in line to do all this work. And I think with ESG, it's probably one of the best things because they have so many people on their payroll and so many contractors out there. They can turnkey this a lot faster than we could, and they do a great job on that. We have 6,390 students as of today. We picked up 10 extra students as of today. Our numbers keep going up, so that's really good. Another thing that our board does with our U-Trust is we recognize a group of employees every month. Last month, we recognized our bus contractors and our bus drivers, and we give them a small monetary gift out of our U-Trust money that we get back every year from U-Trust. It's where we pay our unemployment compensation. And, you know, even through all this COVID, we've only had one bus contractor that missed one route. And when you think about that through COVID, they've done a fantastic job. Our bus contractors and our bus drivers, even though they're not employees of us, they really and truly love our kids and they want to take care of our kids. So I just want to do a shout out to our bus contractors and bus drivers tonight on that. Did a lot of work during fall break. And one more thing, I wanted Teacher Depot. Me and Teresa's not talked about that in a while. October 26th from 4 to 5:30. So I'm, you know, there's a lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts, and we got a lot of great people working for us. And I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Perry. I guess it's probably been too soon for the school board to have had a discussion, but is there, do you know of any plans for where to allocate the out-of-state money that's coming in, the sales tax?
It actually would just go into the regular 141, you know, it goes into regular sales tax, and it's just in that budget code.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Commissioner Val.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Parrott, if I recall correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think the Lake City Middle School volleyball team won district champs recently, is that correct?
Yes, I know that, yes, and yes. We've got,
I know we got several good teams in our county.
Sometimes athletics are, yeah, I try to forget them sometimes, but I'm just joking. They do a great job. Yeah, Lake City did it. We had Clinton Middle School volleyball went undefeated in their district, and then Anderson County volleyball is at the state right now. Great. And so, yeah, a lot of great things going on.
And I think for the first year, Lake City Middle School started a fishing team.
Yep.
So they're really excited about that as well.
Good deal.
So I want to thank you and the school department for those.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Actually, too, we started this year, all of our elementary schools, now we have an athletic director on that, all the schools that go into Anderson County High School and all the kids that go into Clinton High School, we have two athletic directors, and then all of our elementary schools have a basketball coach, a paid basketball coach for girls and boys, and in the spring, they will have a track coach. So we're trying to get a lot more involved in that. So this year was our first year of really doing our basketball, so we did a co-ed team just to try to get it started. Those will be played on Saturdays at the two high schools. So it gets those kids involved in sports a little earlier, and it helps them to where a lot of parents can't bring their kids back, so they can do that right after school, that practice and stuff. So.
Commissioner Scott.
Thank you. Thank you for the shout out on the Teacher Supply Depot. I wanted to say thank you for acknowledging the bus drivers. You're right, not only are they, you know, bringing the kids to and from school, but they're also responsible for keeping those buses clean.
Yes.
And with COVID and so forth, I just want to extend an appreciation for that. Thank you.
Commissioner Creasy.
Yeah, I was noticing under the director's report there, he was talking about the number of students with COVID and your flu clinic. And you mentioned that there were 62 students were vaccinated for COVID. Was that vaccination done at the school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That was my question. It wasn't clear. I knew you were giving flu shots at the school, but I wasn't sure about the COVID shot.
Yes. Yes.
Very good. Thank you.
Flu vaccine. We did a flu vaccine on the weekend on a Saturday, and we had a pretty good turnout, but then we're starting all the flu clinics in all the schools this week.
And the committee reports by Joe Williams, I noticed that you were approving a new sick leave policy and rescinding an old sick leave policy. Is that a result of COVID-19?
Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
We wanted to make sure that employees, if they were out for quarantine or they were out with COVID and they ran out of sick time, that they would still get paid. That
Yeah.
was one of the big things with our board.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Wondell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Parrott, I think you may have answered my question. I was just curious about that item A on executive approval for COVID pay for staff. Is that what you're
Yes,
talking
yes,
about?
yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions for Dr. Parrott? Have a
Thank
good evening.
y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you do.
Ready for County Mayor?
Good evening, County Commissioners. The only two action items I have on the mayor's report are, one, the reappointment of George Horton to the Anderson County Water Authority. The term would be expiring 9/2025, and I did receive a recommendation from the Water Authority to reappoint Mr. Horton, so I'm seeking confirmation.
Motion and second, or motion by Commissioner Isabel, seconded by Commissioner Val. Any discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Oh, sorry, Commissioner Wondell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to support this for sure. Mayor, do you know, does the board get any kind of compensation at all?
I believe, Mr. Rose? $200 per month.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other questions? Let's go to the board and vote. Vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And the next is following any appointment or reappointment to the Civil Service Board by Anderson County Commission. The following month, I must appoint a chairman or designate a chairman from the three members that are on that board. I did designate Dr. Richie No as chairman of the Anderson County Civil Service Board. Bill Riggs was a long-standing member of that board, and he did finally retire, but he served as chairman for many years and served Anderson County well. So if I could just get that designation entered into the minutes, please.
Motion by Commissioner Isabel, seconded by Commissioner Wondell. Any discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And that's all I have. Just real quickly, there were several questions that you asked, and if I may answer some of them, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
One was on the Gibbs Ferry Pier. I did speak with the Conservation Board and attend that meeting, this last meeting they had, and I did go on site with a planner. One of the things, that particular location is leased by TVA. So with the pier, for instance, as long as we're not affecting the footprint, we're allowed to do that with no issue. If we want to do anything that even changes the footprint in the slightest, we do have to seek approval. So we did go out there. We're also looking at that other launch that's been kind of abandoned. Earl Cagle went out there. We're going to do a little bit of work on that and see if we can't get that one up and going as well, but it would take a permission process. So just to answer that, clarify a little bit more. The other was on Ben's, that engineering report is finalized. They only lack a couple of little bits of information from me, so that will be on next month's operations agenda. That will be ready for you all. Then the other item, you mentioned at the purchasing level about you questioned about getting more funds on some of the surplus vehicles. Something that I just want to point out and thank the Finance Office, Purchasing Committee, and a citizen. A citizen actually who was interested in bidding on a vehicle reached out and asked, can you start loading, do you have access to the maintenance on those vehicles? And so I took that citizen request to the Finance Office and the Purchasing Committee, and the purchasing office, and they got with John Vickery, and now that data is being loaded onto GovDeals. So folks know that are bidding, you know, what the issues are and how it's been maintained, and I do think that's yielding a better return. So kudos to all of those who made that happen, including the citizen. And then, lastly, I just personally want to thank you for what you all did tonight in advancing emergency medical response for the citizens of this county. So you're equipping them with better tools, and I would like to personally thank you for that. You did great work there, and you're supporting their great work they do for the community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mayor Frank? Commissioner Meredith?
Proclamation for SL.
Yes, if you want to get that approved, but I thought you weren't presenting it until... Okay, sure. It was in the agenda packet. It is a proclamation honoring SL for their contributions to our new training workforce center.
Motion to approve the resolution by Commissioner Wandell, seconded by Commissioner Isabel. Any discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. How about a recess until 8 p.m.? Is that all right? Quick break.
8:10? 8:10? 8. I thought you said 8:10.
Where'd Denver go? Okay, we're ready for the law director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate the opportunity to be with you again tonight. You've got my written report in your agenda packet. Does anybody have any questions on Section A, the contract approvals? Gave you a breakdown of the past 3 months of the zoning violations. You should have that in Section B. I spoke with the lady that came about Ben's Mobile Home Park. We've actually got, I think, 7 cases ongoing down there right now. I do appreciate the help we're getting from community planning. Danny, Margie, Lisa, they were doing a fantastic job working with the 2 ladies in my office that are on top of this. But you can see we've got a lot of cases moving forward on zoning violations. And the problem we're running into in Ben's, but Cassandra in my office is doing an excellent job with this. We're finding out that the occupant a lot of times is different than the owner of the structure, and the owner of the structure and the occupant is different from the real estate owner. So you're dealing with 3 different entities there in a lot of cases, and we're having to take all 3 of them to court. But we're working on it hard. They've got a Billy Brown gave them an overhead picture of it. We're identifying each owner, each occupant that we know of, and it's going a lot smoother, but we do appreciate the help we're getting from community planning on this. We've got a lot of cases in the works, as you can see. Any question on any of those zoning cases?
Commissioner Wandell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jay, I apologize. We'll go back to A for a second. I was just
sir.
curious, item 7, Berkshire Hathaway Human Resources. Well, just curious what that is
It's
about.
an HR tool they're using.
That Berkshire Hathaway provides?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I'll get you a better description
No
if you
problem.
need from Kim.
Thank you. No.
I'm sorry, she's out with a death in the family.
No, that answered my question. Thank you.
The lawsuit updates there, I will mention Carl Clifford Smith. We had that pending settlement offer. That's been no action. That's been reported back to Mr. Wigler that represents Mr. Smith. Jonathan Taylor did ask me to make sure that you have approved the Rule 60.02. I don't know if it's actually necessary that you approve it. You approve the appeal of this case. You approve the motion to reconsider the verdict. But what happened on the Rule 60.02 is, if you recall, they missed the time frame there by a little over a day. And they were running and trying to do something. So they filed the appeal, and they also on the same day filed the Rule 60.02. The Rule 60.02 is a motion for relief for excusable neglect, inadvertence, and mistake. That has been argued in court. Shortly after the oral arguments, Chancellor Cantrell recused herself. We're waiting on a new judge to hear that, and I'm sure they'll have to have oral arguments again. I thought the process would move a little bit faster, but right now we still don't have a replacement judge to hear that Rule 60.02. But Jonathan asked me specifically if we would go back and approve the Rule 60.02. We did that because of the time necessary. I don't personally believe it has to be done, but that makes him feel better, I guess. But anyway, I need a motion to approve the procedure of the Rule 60.02. Pursuant to request from outside counsel.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Denenberg, seconded by Commissioner Meade. Any discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. I wanted to make an announcement. Gary Long, our highway superintendent, has been working very hard up in Arcadian Springs with the mayor, Chairman Anderson, and Commissioner Waddell, trying to get these roads finished. As you know, this has been a 10-year issue. We've got one road that needs to be resurfaced and taken into the county system, and that's that main road that comes off Highway 61, Andersonville Highway. That was originally going to be the service road for construction. Well, that's turned out to be the main entrance, and the main entrance is logically in a better place right there. The main entrance was supposed to be around the corner where the elementary school is, and that's a nightmare if you've been through there in the afternoon when school's letting out or in the morning when the kids are dropping off, so it's much safer. Our efforts right now are focused on getting that road taken into the county and dedicated as a county road. I've been speaking with the bank in Kentucky. They have agreed to go ahead and dedicate that road to the county. Gary has gone out and hired some surveyors to get the exact dimensions. The bank has hired an attorney in the Knoxville area. He's working with me. I'll draw up the dedication, and as soon as we get that done, we'll run it through all the proper committees, the highway committee, and then bring it to county commission, get that a county road. That means we're on the hook for perpetual maintenance on that, resurfacing, cleaning the ditch, snow and ice removal, everything. It'll be just like all the other roads in that subdivision. And hopefully, that'll be the end of the problems at Arcadian Springs. But I do appreciate everybody that's worked on it. It's been a real team effort. Thank you, Mayor. And Gary's just been working on it for years, the two commissioners up there. I know y'all field all the calls just like we do, but it's close to being over with. And we're on the last step, that main road. Wolf Valley Convenience Center, I just wanted to point out to you, the mayor has already got those contracts in place. We've got the main contract. We've actually got one change order. It's already been approved. So we're moving forward with that Wolf Valley. Somebody asked last month where we're at, and we're well on our way to getting that up and running, getting it built. And if it's anything close to what we built up at North Anderson County, it'll be spectacular for the community in South Clinton and Claxton in that area. But anyway, that's moving forward. Charter Commission update. They're working hard. They're meeting every month. Probably have to meet twice a month, but the due date for the charter is May 22nd. May 22nd of 2022. It'll be on the August 4th, is it, ballot general election. Some unfortunate news here. Our ASAP executive director has resigned. That's Alicia Price. She's a heck of a lady. She took over for another lady that I enjoyed immensely, Stephanie Strutner, really dedicated to that mission. But Alicia's got a different job coming forward that's going to be better for her, and I fully understand that. But we're back looking for another dedicated person to lead ASAP. And the shoes are so big, they're left by Stephanie Strutner and Ms. Price. But anyway, they started interviews today, and I'm sure they'll be a part of our opioid settlement. That a lot of that money has to go through, be dedicated to abatement of the opioid epidemic. Item H is on the operations agenda. Item I is the online delinquent tax sale. I reminded you last month, that's October 30th at 10 a.m. And remember, it's an online tax sale. All bidders must pre-register at govease.com. Andy will start running a slide on ACTV for folks. They can call my office, and we'll give them directions on how to do this, or call the clerk and master. But you must pre-register if you're planning on bidding. I sent out the most recent list, and you can tell the girls in my office have been working hard. It's down to about 8 or 9 parcels right now. These people are coming in paying. Their homes have been posted with signs, and that seems to do the trick. When they get the sign or the placard in the yard, they're coming in paying and taking care of this. But don't forget that date, October 30th. The Blockhouse Valley Deer Hunt, the mayor will draw for the winners on October 28th at 2 p.m. in room 118A. If you know anybody that's interested in that, they must pre-register at deerhunt@andersoncountytn.gov. deerhunt@andersoncountytn.gov. Andy, you'll be running a slide on that also, correct? The second drawing, remember you wanted a second drawing for those permits that are not picked up. We'll try to run through those. Whoever doesn't pick theirs up, we'll have another drawing by the mayor on December 10th at 2 p.m. in room 118. So we're hoping to get all those spots full this year. Anybody that wants to hunt, hopefully you'll get drawn in one of those 2 drawings. Any questions about the deer hunt?
Commissioner Mead,
I had a question actually about the online delinquent tax
Yes, sir.
sale.
Be glad to handle that.
If people go to govease.com that you give on here and identify Anderson County, then it'll just take you right into it, right?
Yes, it's got a map of the southeast of where they're having all their different tax sales. You just click on the one that's on Anderson County. It'll tell you all about it.
I just wanted to be able to have people know that if they go to that website, it's pretty straightforward.
It is.
Great.
It's
Thank
a
you.
very good website. Item K is on the operations agenda. Item L is on the operations agenda. I had an add-on. Tracy, did you have a question? I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead, Jay, I'll come to
Okay.
you.
The highway superintendent, Gary Long, has a change to his personnel policy that'll put him in line with the county-based personnel policy. I sent that out to you yesterday. What it is it brings him, again, back in line with the county-based policy, and that's what we've been trying to accomplish now for about the past 12 years. But I don't need that approved by this body, but I need it spread upon the minutes. That's the state law. I think I sent you a copy of the state law yesterday. So if possible, I need that to be included in the county commission minutes for the highway superintendent. Just one other update. Next month will be the last chance to ratify the private act on fireworks. If you have any questions about that, please let me know. And good choice on the chairman, Mayor, Dr. No, and I do share in the appreciation Bill Riggs. He's done a wonderful job on the Civil Service Board. If you don't know Mr. Riggs, he's an employee of the city of Clinton, but he's been on the Civil Service Board, I think, 12 years, but done a wonderful job. Any questions that I can answer for you? Any legal issues, any questions that you may have?
I was making a motion to add the road superintendent's item. So do we already do that, though?
You already did it earlier,
Okay,
I think.
all right. Then that was that motion. You can cancel that. I have a question about the private act that
Yes,
I
sir.
requested on this meeting. It will not be discussed in operations because we didn't make a motion in operations, so I forgot to do that. I discussed it in operations.
Okay.
But I did not do that. So I made a written request, email sent to the chairman and law director, I think the mayor, and asked for this item to be added on tonight's agenda. So it showed up under your report, and I heard what you said, it was going to go to the operations, but really Chairman Isbell didn't have this. So what I'd like to do, Mr. Chairman, is read this private act, if that's okay with you. I know later we'll be taking up the resolution under the operations, which is something different. But I'd like to read this private act, and what I'd like to say is the 16 of us around this table represent all 77+ thousand residents. They elected us to where we are. They might unelect us at the next one. That's up to the people. I feel like we're all doing a good job. So from my perspective, the only way we can protect this institution and this body going forward is to pass this private act. Now, we're all going to sit here, and some of us will say we can't get it done, and they're not going to meet till next year, and they're not going to do this, and they're not going to do that. But doing nothing will guarantee it won't get done. So I'm going to read this private act, and I hope we can get the support, have discussion on it. Anderson County, Tennessee Board of Commissioners, Resolution Number 21-10-898. Resolution respectfully requesting the Tennessee General Assembly approve a private act or general law of local application authorizing the Anderson County Board of Commissioners to require that all elections to fill positions on the county legislative body and county constables shall be conducted in a nonpartisan manner. Be it enacted by the General Assembly of the State of Tennessee, an act to authorize Anderson County Board of Commissioners to require that all elections to fill positions on the county legislative body and county constables be conducted in a nonpartisan manner. Notwithstanding any provisions of this section or other law to the contrary, by resolution adopted by 2/3 vote of the county legislative body of any county having a population in excess of 77,100 and 77,200, according to the 2020 federal census or any subsequent federal census. The county legislative body may require that all elections to fill positions on the county legislative body and the county constables shall be conducted in a nonpartisan manner. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Anderson County Board of Commissioners meeting this regular session, 18th day of November, it says, I'd like to say October 2021, that we respectfully request the Tennessee General Assembly to enact the above recited private act applicable to Anderson County, or in the alternative, pass a general law local application amending Tennessee Code annotated 2-13-203, or any other relevant law related hereto, to allow the Board of Commissioners to require that all elections to fill positions on the county legislative body and county constables shall be required to be conducted in a nonpartisan manner. Be it further resolved that we request this authorization, County Clerk, send a copy of this signed resolution to our legislative representatives in the State Senate and the House of Representatives. Resolved, duly passed, and effective this 18th day of October 21. So I'm going to make a motion to pass this resolution to help secure the future for this county. And, you know, one thing we've done tonight, just like every other meeting we've had, you don't hear about party lines and politics, and we don't make decisions based on those. So I think we need to protect that for this county, and that's the reason for my motion, and I so move.
Motion by Commissioner Wandell, seconded by Commissioner Denenberg. Discussion, Commissioner Jameson. Oh, yeah, Commissioner Meade.
I think another thing we need to point out on this is that Anderson County is not really a normal county. We've got a lot of federal employees and contractors that would be very capable, some of which are on this commission already. I was an employee at the Y-12 plant for a long time. In years past, this has just not been a big issue. Local government, I think, it's a good thing to have nonpartisan races. Even though I'm kind of a libertarian, but I'm not going to go into politics. I kind of go in the middle a lot of the time. There's some things I agree one side, there's other things I agree on the other side. But I think we need to do things in accordance with the rules, and we need to do things that are done properly. So this is the right way to go. Now, it could be that the Republican Party and the Democratic Party rescind their letters that they put in because they think it's the right thing to do, but that may not happen. And I've heard that both have to ask for partisan elections or they don't get it. But then I have also heard from other people that no, if just one party does it, they can have a partisan election that people go through that way. I don't want to see it change. I think that the base of people in Anderson County include a lot of people that work for the post office or work for the plants or whatever that could be eliminated because of a rule regarding the people that work in federal office, in federal contractors, I guess to some extent, are not allowed to take part in partisan elections, but they can take part in nonpartisan elections. And it's been that way a long time. I do not want to see it change. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Commissioner Smallridge.
Yeah, I just would want to say that I strongly support this motion for all the reasons that have been discussed in Operation Committee and again tonight. And we just don't need partisan elections. And if this can pass, I think it would be great for the county, for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Creasy.
Yeah, I certainly support it. I'd like it to go further, but I wouldn't dare amend it and afraid that I may lose a vote or two. I was hoping that, and I spoke on it at the operations meeting, that some years ago we tried to get all of the county elected officials nonpartisan. We failed on that, but that's what I'd like to see in the future. If we get this passed and we're successful, I would like for us to come back and try on all of the county elected positions. And but I feel the same way and have for years. And thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Denenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not going to repeat what I said at the Operations Committee meeting, except to say that I agree with what has been said so far, that we do a darn good job as this body in acting in a bipartisan manner. And I would really dislike seeing it go any other way, because we all have constituents on one side or the other or in the middle, And in my opinion, we do the best we can to do what is best for everyone and not for just a few chosen people. And with that, I turn it back over to you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
It looks like we've got someone from the audience. If you would, just come to the microphone and give us your name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Ibbotson. I'm at 107 Baker Lane in Oak Ridge. I am the current president of the Anderson County Democratic Party, and I want to make it clear that we never intended for the commission or the constables to be elected partisan. We support this act. We want to keep those offices nonpartisan for all the reasons that you people have discussed. We think you all do a great job. We think that everyone in Anderson County should be allowed to run for these offices irregardless. And some of the arguments I've heard about people would know the candidates better if they had a partisan, I disagree. I think because you're nonpartisan, you are better at campaigning and not counting on being a party affiliation. So thank you all for what you've done and allowing me to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Waterman.
Yeah, I'm Todd Waterman from 418 Orchard Knob Road in Clinton. I think first, at least two of you, I understand, would not be able to run if the next election was a partisan election. I think that's true for Chuck Fritz, and it's true for you, Joshua. I would hate to see that. There would be more of you if that would include you, and would that not include you also if y'all weren't retired? Your voice is very important, because what the Fed does in this county has a huge influence on what happens in this county. It has direct effects on the county. You know that the EMDF landfill, all that kind of stuff that's important stuff. But more important than that, what I see is I see all of you with your varied opinions, your different experience, your different perspectives, your different ideas, working beautifully together, expressing yourself candidly, sharing what you know and what you think, without anybody looking over your shoulder, without fearing what your party might think of what you think or what you say or what you do here. Instead, you're thinking about what your constituents need, what we need here in the county, and I appreciate the heck out of that. I mean, that is just great to see. That's not what we see on the federal level. It's not what we see on the state level. What we see there is politicians who are scared to go against their party, scared to do something that might get them primaried in the next election. And there's a reason for that kind of polarization. Facebook and Twitter, YouTube, the news channels, Google, they're all in business to keep us on their websites so they can sell advertising. And they can't afford to tell us anything we don't want to hear or might disagree with. They're not in the business of telling us what we really need to know, telling us the truth. Where they make their money is applauding us for being angry, for polarizing. And I would just hate to see all of you and all of us your constituents here in the county dumped into that cesspool. I think that would just be a great tragedy. And again, I appreciate so much what you all do, and I just want to see that continue. I understand there are a couple of you here who are on the Republican Executive Committee. And I mean, do you want to see partisan bickering over what happens here in the county? It's sure not what I want to see, and I don't think any of you want to see that either. And I appreciate that. So thank you.
Commissioner Fritz.
Can I just mention,
Just 1 minute. Let me get Commissioner Fritz. We'll
Oh.
go back to the audience.
When this term is up, I'll have 20 years as a commissioner. I'll be close to 68 years old. Whether I run again or not, I feel should be my decision that I make. And it should be the people in my district's choice to whether they reelect me or not. That choice should not be decided for me. And every election I've ran, at least 5 times, I tried to knock on every single door in my district. And a lot of times people will ask me, are you a Republican or are you a Democrat? And I'll tell them, county commission is neither. We're bipartisan. And every single time, they'll tell me, great answer. Great answer. That's what I wanted to hear. And that's what it should be. You're elected to serve all the people of Anderson County, not a party. And that's how it's been every time I've knocked on the door and they've asked me that. And again, I request that, you help people like me and Josh who this affects, and anyone else in our positions out there in the future that this would affect with your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other commissioner? Commissioner McCamey.
Mr. Chairman, talking about political divide, every motion that we've went to the board and voted on tonight has been unanimous. And I can't believe that there's not some Democrats and some Republicans on this commission. But we're acting as independents, nonpartisan, and we've had, every vote has been unanimous tonight. Just wanted to point that out.
Hope you didn't jinx us, though. Ms. Iverson, did you have another comment?
I just wanted to state that the Democratic Party does have a letter ready to go to the state party clarifying our position that the commission should be notified. Sorry, would you like me to repeat?
Yeah, just in the podium, just so they can pick it up on that.
Okay, sorry. I just wanted to state that the Anderson County Democratic Party has a letter ready to go to the state party clarifying our position that on the commission and constable elections.
Thank you. Anyone else? Commissioner Yeager.
I was fairly certain that a letter needed to go to the Anderson County Election Commission. Is that not the right route? Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am.
I wasn't aware this was on the agenda, but it's a great topic, and I'd like to give my support to it. I think that as acting independents on a nonpartisan sort of way here, you'll be held to account for your votes. And we are watching, all of us. I'm an independent myself, and so I would never be able to run for an office or do anything, not even interested. But just saying, people like me, my federal contractor husband, we would not be qualified. But we are keeping an eye on how everybody votes. So it really, if it's for freedom, good for you, yay. If not, don't care what you are.
Can you give us,
Okay, thank
Can you
you.
give us your name and address
Yes.
just for the?
Michelle Jones, Oak Ridge, 104 Mallard Lane.
Thank you. Commissioner Val.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to make a couple of comments, and it's gonna sound like that I'm straddling the fence, and that's fine. People can believe that. I'll be more than willing to explain further if asked. When this first came to our attention, I think myself, as well as many commissioners, were a little confused on the process of how this was able to be changed. I naively assumed that it was a decision for commission. And when I first heard it, I thought, well, that'll never pass. After calling the election commission, I understand several people called the election commission as well, I was educated on this process. And apparently all it takes is the parties requesting this, if I'm correct on that. I have mixed feelings about it, but at the same time, I'm going to be voting yes on this particular motion, but I'm going to be voting no on the other one. The parties have a right to do this, from what we have learned. I understand we disagree with it, and I hate the fact that some of our commissioners are not going to be able to run for re-election. But at the same time, if this is well within the rights of the parties to do so, then it's up to them. So I'm not going to be supporting the resolution we're going to be voting on later on to request the parties to change their mind. They're well aware of the commission's stance on this issue. However, being in law enforcement for 29 years, I've had to enforce laws that I did not necessarily agree with. I've been asked to enforce laws that were not on the books. And when I've been asked to do that, and several law enforcement officers I've had the privilege of working with give people the same answer: you need to have the law changed. You need to contact your state legislators. You need to go to them to have this law enacted or this law changed. And I think that's what a private act is actually going to do. So I can understand that. I can support that. I think if we're going to ask for a change, that's the correct way to do it, although it may take a while. And I understand there may be some issues that come up because of that. But tonight, I'm going to be voting yes on this motion. And to save the board some time from hearing me a second time, I went ahead and gave both the explanations right now. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other discussion, commissioners? Commissioner Mead.
I just want to point out that a private act could not be approved by this party until at least 9 months from now. Because it has to, in January, it has to be submitted to the legislature. It has to be passed in the House and the Senate, signed by the governor. And then it has to come back to us for another 2/3 vote. And so we can't even get it in to be looked at until the new General Assembly session in January. I just went through this with another private act that we're going to be voting on next month.
Commissioner Isbell.
Yes, I just want to point out that under the charter that we will be presenting during this upcoming election is that it calls for nonpartisan. So if you want to, and I'll be abstaining on this vote because I am vice chairman of the Anderson County Republican Party. But if you want that, then you have to vote for the charter, vote to approve the charter. And if you want to change it for everything to be nonpartisan, we need people to speak up. For a charter commission, we went on for years and years and had members come from the courthouse, every elected office, and nobody wanted change. So with this partisan election that we've got set out in the charter, calls for nonpartisan election for commissioners, school board, constables. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Wandell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not going to debate with Commissioner Mead. He certainly knows the state legislator and laws and processes a lot better than I, but my understanding is they're going to have a special called session, and if we're able to get, if this motion passes and the mayor signs it, we can send it on to the state right away, ask them to take it up under that special session. This is something I don't, if we all vote as I think we'll vote, I think it shouldn't have any issues from the state level unless that's the situation. As it relates to the abstention from my fellow and good friend, Commissioner Mr. Isbell, this is the reason we should vote for this. And I hate to say this, but Right now, we're sitting around this table, and my good friend voted for this on the executive level, Anderson County Republican Party. And what's he doing tonight? He's abstaining. He's serving the wrong folks. He needs to be serving the people. So he's abstained from this vote, but voted on the local Republican executive committee to make it partisan. So that's problematic from my perspective, and I certainly respect my good friend. I'm not beating him up. I'm just, well, abstention's a no too, so either way. But I guess what I'm saying is, if I was on, let's say, the Democratic Executive Committee, and I sat up here and said I'm going to abstain, I'm now serving the Democratic Executive Committee, not the people that put me in this spot. So that's the reason we need to vote to support this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other commission comments? Did anyone else from the audience, did everyone have a chance to speak on this that wanted to? Okay, if not, let's go to the board and vote. And this needs a 2/3 vote to pass.
Correct.
Correct, yeah. 15 yes, 1 no, motion passes.
One other issue I have.
I got a question, follow-up?
Oh, sure.
Jay, is that all right?
Yeah, go.
Jay, from your perspective, how fast can we get this moving and get it to the state legislators for their consideration?
If all goes well, we can get it down there within a week.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not going to ask the mayor and put her on the spot. I understand it's a tough issue, and I certainly would not do that to her. I respect the mayor and everything she does. My understanding is she abstained from this vote at the local Anderson County Executive Republican vote. Perhaps she may see that there's some concerns. I can't speak for her on the reason she abstained at that level, but I appreciate that she did. I guess I want to walk down the path, Mr. Chairman, if for whatever reason the mayor decides to veto our action, how fast can we meet again and take up the business and get it? If she vetoes it, we just have to meet within 10 days, correct, Jay?
No, if she vetoes it, you can wait till next month, or you can call a special session.
Yeah, I'd like to call a special session, Mr. Chairman, because I want to get it there for the special session that the state legislators are going to have. So if that should happen, I'd like to make a special request to have a special called meeting. And how many days? We need 10 days notice?
She has 10 days to exercise her right to veto, so we really don't know. You'd have to set it off with that 10-day mark.
But could I set it out 11 days? That would, I mean, she's going to make a decision within 10 days.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
So,
Well, at that point, we just need to make sure we get good public notice on the meeting. What you're saying is go ahead and put the public notice out now, just in case something happens?
yes, correct. I guess, when is the effective date of the private act for her to take for the mayor to take action, rather?
Effective date of...
Is it today, when we pass it?
Right, after the county commission is up, she's got 10 days.
I'll make a motion, we have a public meeting for November 1st.
10 days does not include holidays or Sundays, right?
I believe it says 10 calendar days.
What time?
Mr. Chairman, I apologize, Commissioner Fritz has a motion perhaps. Oh, okay. Whatever time's convenient for everybody, 6 o'clock, 6:30?
Sure, 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. November 1st, 6 o'clock, 2021, please. That's my motion for a private.
We have charter commission at 6 o'clock.
Okay, let's do 5 o'clock.
That 5 o'clock on November 1st might cut in. That's Conservation Board, I think.
Mm-hmm, that's true.
Yeah.
That's charter right after. 6.
6.
Then at 5:50, we can meet. It's just one item, and it's either yes or no.
I'll amend my motion to 5:30. Chairman, Commissioner Isabel said 5:30 would work, November 1st.
Got a motion by Commissioner Wandell, seconded by Commissioner Mead, for a special called meeting for November 1st, 6 PM, which is...
Should the mayor veto? She may not. I mean, if she doesn't, we'll just send it on.
It'd be canceled, okay. Let's, Commissioner Mead.
I also think that it'd be easy to cancel the meeting in the event the mayor signs.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Frank, I don't want to put you on the spot. If you're welcome to talk, I just feel bad talking about you like you're not here. Sorry. All right, let's go to the board and vote.
Before you vote, I have a motion for Fritz. Is that the motion?
Yeah, or co-motion, whatever.
Fritz is, I'm fine with Fritz carrying that motion, yes, sir.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One last issue. I need a motion to spread the Highway Department personnel policy change on the minutes.
Yeah, oh,
So moved.
motion,
Somebody already.
Commissioner Waddell, seconded by Commissioner Denenberg. Commissioner Jameson, were you trying to second, or do you have a question? Okay. Let's go to the board and vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. That's all I have for you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. All right, next we've got the Operations Committee report. Chairman Isabel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Mead made a motion for Resolution 21-10-895, opposing federally vaccine mandate to full commission for approval. Commissioner Anderson seconded the motion. Commissioner McCamey amended the motion for the full commission without a recommendation. Give all 16 commissioners the opportunity to discuss. Commissioner Mead seconded the motion. Motion passed by voice vote.
Motion by Commissioner Wandell.
No.
Commissioner Wandell
Scratch me.
withdrawing his
I thought
motion.
that was something else. Sorry.
Commissioner Mead.
Push what button?
Did you want to make a motion, Commissioner Mead?
Brian, could you withdraw my motion, please?
Commissioner Wandell's withdrawing his motion. Did you want to?
Yes, I'll make it.
Motion by Commissioner Mead. Do we have a second? No, seconded by Commissioner Isbell. Yeah, discussion, Commissioner Mead?
We hear the motion.
Yes, the motion is,
You want me to
do
read
you
it?
want, can you read them?
You want me to read the whole resolution?
It's a motion to pass a resolution opposing national vaccine mandates. Is that close to? Well, we're
Actually, I have a motion. I've asked to speak.
oh, yeah. I was just trying to get clarification for Commissioner Jameson on the.
Mayor, do you have that?
This is urging the state to oppose federally mandated vaccines, okay? And the state attorney general has already written a very lengthy and detailed opinion about this, in which he declares that those mandates would be in violation of the Constitution of the United States. They'd be in violation of current federal law under FDA, and it would also be a violation of law under Tennessee law, and therefore should not be supported. I don't see why this is difficult. Everyone at this table has taken an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Tennessee against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I will be asking for a recorded vote on this. Thank you.
If anybody wants to talk, just come up to the podium and we'll make sure everybody's heard. Commissioner Wendell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we said earlier, everybody has an opinion to their own beliefs and thoughts, and certainly respect that. I've had a lot of calls about this, and not a lot, but a couple, and you know, this is an issue between the employer and the employee. This is not a constitutional issue. Some may think it is, and I'll respect their opinion. This body passes budgets for highway, sheriff, and school, and other things related to county business. This body is not the HR arm for the federal government. This body does not make decisions on whether a person working at X10, ORNL, TVA, United States Postal Service should get a shot or not. That's up to those individuals. The mayor sent an email today, and I appreciate the email because it gives you some information. There's a letter dated October 14th to the Governor Lee, Lieutenant Governor McNally, Speaker Cameron Sexton, Attorney General Slattery. We all received this letter from the mayor this afternoon. The letter goes on to say, from their capacities, that they oppose this mandate. I think from their perspective as the elected leaders of our county, they have the right to do that. But I do not think this body should be stepping our boundaries to wade in to yet again a political foray. I just don't see it. It says here in the letter, tens of millions of Americans, including citizens of our local counties, have a natural immunity through their prior exposure. I myself, if elected official, would not sign this letter because I'm not a doctor. But I suspect the party's message is pretty clear. That's why you make those kinds of statements. I'll not support this. I supported it to bring it to this body to have discussion, and I will not vote for anything that reflects, and I disagree with my fellow Commissioner Meade that this is a constitutional requirement on my behalf to take action on a federally mandated item, because there's a lot of federal mandates that go on that I have no say-so over, and this is yet another one. So everyone can vote the way they want. I'll vote against this. I do not believe we should be taking any action on any kind of federal jobs and telling people how they should be employed. I encourage all employees to go to their HR department and get the COVID protocol from that prospective employer, have it in writing, and then if you make a decision that it's not going to meet your needs, I would suggest you get an attorney and proceed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Smallridge.
You know, I agree with Commissioner Wandel. I don't think this is something we need to get involved in. You know, the federal government is doing what they can to try to get COVID under control, just like a lot of different governments are. It's clearly, according to science, the best thing to do is to get vaccinated. That's, you know, clearly what science is saying. So, you know, COVID has killed over 700,000 people in this country, and we should be leading as a country, as a rich country. We should be leading the world in terms of efforts to control COVID. We're actually on the other side of that question. So I'm not going to support this effort. I'm not worried about mandates. We have a lot of mandates. We have DUI. We have speed limits. There's to me, in my mind, this is not a big problem in terms of a mandate. It's almost gotten to the point where mandate is just a terrible word. But, you know, and if I could get a little bit personal, I'll go back to the early 50s when I was in high school, and they had polio, came out with a polio vaccine. They didn't inject the vaccine, but they put it on a cube, a little sugar cube, and gave it to every student. No one asked me if I was in high school at the time. No one asked me if I should take it. No one asked my parents. So, you know, we have a lot of mandates that we have to live by to protect ourselves and to protect other people. So I'm not going to support this. I think it's a good effort overall to try to do what we can to control this COVID. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Denenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I, too, feel identical to what has just been said by Commissioners Wandell and Smallridge. This is not something that if you need to tape, you can just come on up here, that's fine. You can come forward. I'm sure. Just to say that not going to be intimidated. I'm not going to be coerced. I am here to do a job that I love doing because I feel that I am contributing to my community. But on this issue, we do not have any business in this body taking up resolutions of this type. And I will be voting against it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Creasy.
Yeah, and I agree with Wandell and Commissioner. You spoke on the polio vaccine. Yeah, the first one was a shot in 1956. That was the kill virus. The one on the sugar cube was the live virus, the Sabin vaccine. The polio groups that I worked with over the years opposed the second one, and because it was a live virus, but we only got that stopped just a few years ago. They continued using the live virus until just a few years back. The polio groups worked very hard to get that stopped, but I agree with you 100%, Dr. Smallridge.
Commissioner Meade.
There's a lot of talk around here, okay? And I'm just trying to make this clear. It's not just my opinion. This is the opinion of the State Attorney General. FDA current law, the current federal law, prohibits the mandating of any unapproved vaccine. The vaccines that some of you talk about, the polio vaccine, the measles vaccine, those are all approved, okay? They went through the chain, but the FDA is even recently has refused to approve these vaccines that they intend to mandate. The executive branch, under the Constitution, has in Article 10, has absolutely no authority to mandate medical issues, okay? The FDA does have some law, but in their law, it specifically prohibits the mandating of any non-approved vaccine or medicine. And as to whether or not this has any business to the county commission, you took an oath to support, defend the Constitution of the United States. That is part of your job. And these mandates would violate the United States Constitution, and that's not just my opinion, that is the opinion of the State Attorney General in his written opinion. So I don't want to hear this stuff, but it's not our business. You either support the constitutional rights of your constituents or you don't. Thank you.
Let me let Mayor Frank jump in real quick, and then I'll get Commissioner Waddell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I do want to clarify, this is not a political resolution. I brought this resolution after hearing from numerous employees of Anderson County government. So I did include today in that email to you where if we receive Medicare, Medicaid funds, which we have folks in EMS who do, we accept federal grants. If this becomes a rule that is issued, what do you want us to do? The mayor, I can speak personally what my opinion is. I am not for coercion when it comes to the COVID vaccine. But I am not the head of this empire known as Anderson County. I am one cog in this machine. And ultimately, County Commission is the deciding body. So I ask you just to look at this in terms of, if this comes down and this parade of employees comes before you, what will your decision be? What will you ask them to do? Will you force them to take the vaccine? And it's a very real, legitimate question. And this particular resolution is just asking our elected leaders to oppose this. The emergency rule has not been used since 1983, and even at that time, it was for asbestos, and then that ruling was stayed by the courts. This is an uncommon use of the emergency rule. You also saw in what I sent you from C-SPAN that federal Head Start workers could be impacted. What if, and I know a majority in our school system have accepted the vaccine, but what for those who don't want to? What will you tell them to do? Because again, they're not going to be able to come to Mayor Frank. Mayor Frank can't issue a notice of a religious exemption. Mayor Frank isn't the one who will be able to issue a medical exemption. It will be a policy decision by County Commission. So I'm just asking you on behalf of our employees who don't want to. And I've been here and seen our clinic has distributed these vaccines. You've had Charles Turner up here. This county has been a leader in the distribution of vaccines. But ultimately, there are going to be some who don't want to. And what do you want to tell our employees? There are folks in law enforcement, there are folks in other departments, there are folks in EMS who do not want this to happen. And they are fearful. And if Judge Slusher was here today, I remember he used to sit right there where Rick is sitting. And he was a Jeffersonian. And Jefferson said, if you're afraid of the government, that's tyranny. But if the government is afraid of the people, that's liberty. And in this particular case, when we're talking about forcing someone to take a medical treatment, that we don't know what that relationship or advice is between them and their doctor, and we don't know what their deeply held religious beliefs are. But we have to make that decision as the governing body. And so there's not a lot of hyperbole in this resolution. It's just a very simple resolution. And that's why I sent the letter showing our letter as mayors is a little more in-depth, has a little more commentary in there. But I did not think that that was appropriate to send to you. So that's kind of the origins of it. That's what it's about. And even if you vote this down, if that rule does get published, this will come back to you in terms of what we do as a county. So me, and you know I'm big about talking about money and resources and efforts, I'd rather the state attorney general be looking at this and leading the charge for us rather than us hiring attorneys to address this. And do we owe our employees the ability to lawyer up and fight for their own medical decision? So from an economic standpoint, I think it's best as a government that we encourage those other leaders to that have the lawyers, that have the teams, that have the law books to be able to do that fight for us. So that's why I asked for that. It is not intended as a partisan effort by any stretch of the imagination, and that's all I'd like to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Frank. Commissioner Waddell.
Thank you. I would start off by saying I'm one of those Anderson County employees that will not be forced to take a vaccine. And there are, I won't speak for the departments, but there are several departments at this county that we can't do without the people that will walk out if a vaccine is mandated. For anyone who says we shouldn't be taking this up, this is symbolic to me to tell our employees we're not going to force you to take a vaccine. That's all this is to me. We take up symbolic resolutions all the time. We sit up here and tell groups that we have no authority over what we want them to do all the time. That's no different than this. So unless y'all want to drive a bunch of police cars and ambulances and man the jail, I'd suggest you just think about it. It's not saying that you don't believe in the vaccine, all that stuff. I won't get into that, but this is giving the employees a choice, and that's all I would ask for. Thank you.
Commissioner Scott.
Thank you. As I said in operations, I don't think it's up to us to tell OSHA what to do. I'm voting no. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Denenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to make it perfectly clear. I respect everyone's right to decide what's right for you and your family. It's my understanding that there is a choice. If you don't want to take the vaccine, you can have a weekly COVID test.
Well, if anybody wants to talk, we could be here till midnight. I'll let everybody that wants to speak, but no more outbursts, please.
Want to come to the microphone and speak?
Amy Poteet, 109 Arcadia Lane. Ma'am, it's not a choice. We're given a date. My date right now is January 15th. I get fully vaccinated by January 15th, or I lose my job. It's as simple as that, and I'm in healthcare.
You work in healthcare?
Yes, I do.
And
January 15th, or I lose my job. And I'm not getting the shot, so I guess I'll be waitressing or something else because I'm not getting the shot. I've had too many friends die after they got the shot. In fact, my daughter is a manager at Dean's, and they just had a young man at Dean's that worked in the kitchen for 5 years. He had a pre-existing health condition. His doctor told him to get the shot. He got the shot, and within a month, he's dead. We buried him last week. I'm not getting the shot.
Well, I certainly respect your decision.
And a lot of healthcare workers that are frontline, that were heroes last year to all of you, now don't want the shot. They're all going to lose their job. Unfortunately, you guys are our commissioners. It's up to you. The buck stops with you. You make the rules for us or you don't. You make the rules on everything in this county. You have decided whether we can have plots changed so that someone can live there. You made that decision. It's you took an oath to office to be here to make decisions for people in our county. You all did it, and you've done it for many years. We, the people, are asking you to stand up for us. Take Republican and Democrat out of it. Stand up for the people. Stand up for us. Tell them. Leave it up to the people. Whether I get a shot or not, leave it up to me. Don't take my job because I don't want to get a shot. It's my body. I have allergies. I just had an allergic reaction last week where I had to go to the doctor. I had a rash from here to here. We don't know why I got the rash. My doctor told me not to get the shot because I have allergies like that.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question of
Sure.
Ms. Petit? I certainly respect that. I wear this mask because I have asthma, and quite frankly, since I've been wearing this, I've had less of an issue. I have had the vaccination because that's what my doctor told me to do. But I certainly respect anyone who has underlying conditions that a shot would be detrimental to your health. I certainly respect
It's
that.
scary.
And absolutely it is. But I also don't think an employer should be requiring you to go against what's good for you medically. That I do not agree with at all. You should be given the opportunity or the right to either get the shot or to take the test on a,
I take the test
Weekly.
twice a week. I'm telling you.
I'm sorry,
I have done it
that's
for 4
mis-
weeks already. I
it's
take the
miserable.
test twice a week. Every Wednesday, every Friday, I test.
well,
I mean, but I guess the point for you guys is you have employees that answer to you. What are you going to tell those employees?
and I would
Are
tell-
you going to tell the county employees, our EMS workers, our firemen, our police officers, are you going to tell them? The buck stops with you guys. You make that rule for them. That's what we're saying. Those are important people to me. If I have an allergic reaction and EMS has to come, I want to know that I'm going to get a certified EMS person that's been there for a while, not somebody who just came off the street and doesn't have somebody to back them up because they didn't get the shot like me. The buck stops with you guys for those important people in our community. We're just asking you to support your people, our people. I know you don't control whether my employer tells me to get the shot. I'm hoping that in special session, they will be able to do that, as they've done in other states. But I'm here to tell you that I'm fighting for the people that are under you. The buck stops with you for our community, for our county. You have at the tip of your fingers, you have the opportunity to say, okay, enough. Our EMS workers in Anderson County, our firefighters, our police officers that put their lives on the line, you don't have to get the shot. We say it's okay. If it comes down to that, I would hope that none of you would need an Anderson County police officer that hasn't had a shot come to your house. What are you gonna do if they walk out and you have a burglar? What are you gonna do? You're gonna call Russell? He's one person. He can't come to all your houses. I mean, think about that. Think about it that way. They're not asking you for everybody in the county, but they're asking you for the county employees.
thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Fritz.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
the whole issue, what we're looking at is this mandate. The mandate basically says you either take the vaccine or be tested every week. That's all it is. We are not forcing anyone to take a vaccine or anything like that. We don't have no say in that. We're just telling Nashville, we're going to support you on this or not support you on this. But the whole thing of the mandate, if you read it, it says you'll either take the vaccine or be tested every week. If an employer who we have no control over decides to go further with it, that's his business. We don't have no control over that. We can't tell an employer if it's a healthcare thing or anyone else whether they cannot go a little bit stricter with it. We cannot, we don't have no say in that. The whole issue behind this is the mandate, which says you either have to be vaccinated or be tested every week. So, I mean, that's the only thing it is. That's the only issue. We're not forcing no one to be vaccinated. We're not telling Nashville to force anyone to be vaccinated. We're saying do you support being vaccinated or being tested every week? That's all it is. If anyone goes stricter, that's the responsibility of the business. National Order can't tell a private business to do it. Anyone else can't tell a private business what they can or cannot do. That's the whole thing behind a private business. We cannot do that. That's regardless of what anyone thinks, we cannot do that. And again, we're not forcing no one to be vaccinated.
Yeah.
The choice of the mandate, again, either be vaccinated or tested.
Get Commissioner McCamey and Val, and then there's one gentleman in the audience that wants to speak.
Mr. Chairman, first off, I don't think opposing this resolution or supporting the resolution is going to sway our state legislature one way or the other. I think it's fruitless, but one of the things in the mandate says that you take the vaccine or you get tested, one or the other. Well, what about the ones that have taken the vaccine? They can still carry it. So are they going to be tested under this mandate? Evidently, if you're vaccinated, you don't have to be tested, but yet you can still carry it. It's my understanding. I think the only thing here tonight is sending our employees a message if we vote to oppose this mandate. We are sending our employees a message that, hey, you know, we didn't force you to do this. If the mandate passes and OSHA comes down on us, then we'll deal with that then. But, you know, I think we need to send our employees the message. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Val.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner McCamey kind of touched on the issues that I was going to address. I've taken the vaccination. I've also had COVID, both. Of course, I work in an environment to where it's more prevalent if it does reach the inside. I made the choice to take the vaccination, and people in the 4th District were very appreciative of the efforts by Commissioner Isabel and Commissioner Denenberg and Dr. Unick for coming to Rocky Top in our area and offering those vaccinations. However, from what I'm understanding from people in my district, and I have to admit, I think some of them may be a little confused on what this resolution meant. I think I was a little confused on what the resolution meant. I thank the mayor for clarifying. People in my district understand there are laws that the federal government enacts, but they don't like being, in their opinion, forced to do this. A lot of them came. We had a great turnout for the vaccination. But those that did not come don't want to feel like they're being pressured or forced in any way. I'm assuming that you all have similar conversations with your constituents that we have with ours. We run into them at the grocery store. We talk to them on the telephone. We get emails from them. A lady wanted us to know that the idea of either take the COVID vaccination or be tested weekly was not being offered by her employer, and she made sure that I received the email for that. Setting up here representing our constituents, educating them on the issues that are before us, and then listening to their opinions, I feel obligated to vote the way that my constituents want me to vote. Majority of the constituents I spoke with wants to oppose any kind of mandate that forces people to take the vaccination. So I'll be voting in support of this resolution tonight. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. The gentleman in the middle row, and then I'll circle back to Commissioner Waddell and Waddell. Just give us your name and address, please.
Kurt Bargill, 317 Louisiana Avenue, Oak Ridge. So, Mr. Meade says that your guys' oath says you have to, or hold up the Constitution. Is that true or not? I mean, you guys all know that. Yes. Okay, so his point is valid then, as far as the you know, appropriateness of you guys doing this. Also, there's, polio's been mentioned. Do you know what the death rate was in polio?
1 in 12.
It was very high, very, very high from, I don't know the exact thing, but very high. Also, so who took the polio vaccine? Was it people that were not, no, not, I'm talking groups. Were there people that weren't at risk took the polio vaccine? Or was it the at-risk group, children? So, that's all. I mean, since you guys brought that up, I just thought I'd address it.
Can I respond?
Oh, sure. Dr. Smallridge.
I only mentioned for high school age people, and everyone took the vaccine.
Yeah, I don't believe adults took it.
Pardon?
I don't believe the adults took it back then. I think it was the targeted group. I could be wrong, but.
We have 2 commissioners that have had polio.
Do what?
We have 2 commissioners who have had polio,
Okay.
so we've
I'm
gone
sorry.
through it. And it wasn't just a target group that got the vaccine.
So everybody got the vaccine when it came out? The whole population did? Okay. I didn't know that. And so an employer can do whatever they want. I believe you said that, or one of you said, maybe more than one. Would you guys be okay with an employer requiring AIDS tests? I think people would have an opinion on that. And let's see. So I remember the issue when Governor Lee gave the choices to the counties. I believe it was the health departments could choose whether to have mask mandates, and then county like ours, it was left up to the mayor. And I remember hearing a lot of people were upset that the mayor didn't require us to have mask mandates. So looking for how things went after that, especially the last, like September or August, when we had high rates, the highest rates of transmission, did our county differ than counties that had mask mandates? I would think you should take that into consideration when thinking about vaccines also. And our company, I work for UCOR, that is a prime contractor at, we have some stuff at all 3 sites. And we did not get the choice for testing. They could have, it flowed down from Department of Energy. They said Department of Energy gave them a choice, testing or the vaccine mandate, and they just chose to do the vaccine mandate instead. So it does come down to you don't have a choice. And so this is my first day of unpaid leave. They accepted our religious exemptions, that they accepted that they were sincerely held religious beliefs, but they decided that weekly testing and wearing the KN95 masks as an upgrade, that created a greater than minimal impact to costs, legal liability, and safety. That's what they said. So they used the letter of the law, like EEOC guidelines. They're using that very narrow definition of undue hardship to choose to have us terminated. And you guys were pretty happy that you've had this newfound revenue in the out-of-state sales. Well, you're going to have sales go down from people not having jobs. And it's disrupting their operations there. It doesn't appear that they took any of that into consideration. They let go. The department I work in is probably, I think, 5 out of 7 people. They didn't even start making
Let me,
accommodations for when we left until a week before we were let go.
we're over time here. I'm gonna have
Okay.
to cut you off. I'm sorry. Let me cut to Commissioner Wandell, and then I think somebody raised their hand in the back. And
I just want to read the resolution so everybody can hear it. There's a lot of things being said, and the one thing the resolution does not talk about is our employees here in Anderson County. It doesn't. It refers to some other things, but, you know, all this is, as Commissioner McCamey said, is us saying we oppose the federally mandate. I mean, I guess we could vote yes on it, but to my fellow colleagues that are so ardently supportive of the body here, our fellow employees, I don't think I've ever said I don't want them to take a shot or get a shot. That's up to the person, the individual. It's not my job to tell them to get the shot or not. But I guess someone can twist this motion, resolution, and make it sound as if some of us, if we vote against this, that we're saying you get the shot or you're fired. That's not what we're saying. We have a policy in place in Anderson County. We have an HR that puts that policy out. The mayor's in conjunction with it. We handled things very well, I thought, with the mayor's leadership when it came out. And so if my fellow colleagues want to change this and add to protect Anderson County employees, I may vote yes. But it doesn't say that. So I'm going to read it, and then we all can make our decisions, Mr. Chairman, if it's okay?
go ahead.
Anderson County, Tennessee Board of Commissioners Resolution Number 21-10-895 to urge Tennessee elected leaders to oppose the federally proposed vaccine mandate. Whereas the federal government has announced a plan under which Occupational Safe and Healthy Administration would mandate all employees with at least 100 employees to require employees to either be vaccinated for COVID-19 or produce weekly negative test results. And whereas Tennessee Attorney General Herbert H. Slattery III has expressed grave concerns about the legality of this nationwide vaccine and testing requirement for COVID-19. And whereas the federal proposal is overly broad and likely violates federal law, including both Occupational Safe and Healthy Act and the Constitution. And whereas the proposal fails to take into account the numerous steps already taken by the Tennessee employers to reduce risk of COVID-19 exposure and the impact these additional burdens will place on the workplace and workforce. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners, Anderson County, Tennessee, meeting on regular session of this 18th day, October 2021, the Tennessee elected leaders are strongly urged to oppose the federally proposed vaccine mandate. Be it further resolved that the county clerk shall mail certified copies to this resolution to the governor, speaker of the House, lieutenant governor, and the members of the Tennessee General Assembly representing the people of Anderson County. I adopted this 18th day, October 2021. Is this resolution have to be done tonight, Mr. Chairman? Can we defer it for 30 days so we can get the proper wording in there for our employees in Anderson County, so we can protect them?
Mayor Frank, is there a specific date this needs to be in?
There is not, but the issue is if the emergency rule does go into place, the issue is then Anderson County, are we under that OSHA regulation? And so that's why it's worded with respect to that. I mean, all we can do, even the folks, you heard the one gentleman here tonight, that rule isn't out there, but yet you already have employers responding to it as if it were there. And so on Friday, I think there was, I recall the lab calling me several weeks ago, and their representative, Oak Ridge National Lab, and they said, Mayor Frank, we're making you aware, we're going to put a mandate in place. And I said, are you going to recognize religious liberties and medical exemptions? The representative assured me they were. And while I don't like a mandate, I felt like there was a process in place. However, what happened, based on the president's statements and this guidance, and in addition, his federal directive for employees, what is happening in effect is a de facto termination and ignoring of your religious rights. So what they're saying, or your medical exemption, they're saying that, yes, we recognize we're granting you an exemption, and our solution is unpaid leave. And that's no recognition of an exemption at all if you can't feed your family. And so it's timely in that the legislature is set to address this. And, you know, I bring many things to you. You don't have to support it. I'm not here to pressure you, but I am here telling you that there are a lot of employees in Anderson County government. If you want to add in that main line, it says, whereas the federal government has announced a plan under which OSHA would mandate all employers, including Anderson County government, I think that would address speaking to our employees, as Commissioner Kamey brought up. If you want to just add that verbiage.
As a member of the motion, I would support that modification.
Commissioner Isbell, all right with that?
Just a follow-up question. Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate your comments. Jay, I'd like to hear from Law Director what his thoughts are on this.
There is no requirement in Tennessee for vaccines. That is the state level. Now, feds, I don't believe the executive order is signed on federal government workers, but the executive order that's contemplated in this resolution, I don't believe it's signed. And whether or not they can enforce that on us, that's a stretch, a real stretch. There's all kinds of constitutional powers that you can get into, and we can debate this for years, but the federal government enforcing vaccines on the states, that's going to be very difficult. Now, I feel sorry for the people that work for the plants. That's a different issue, and I believe there is an executive order, if I'm not mistaken, that's been signed on federal workers down there, but.
Yeah, we start the 25th.
But we're dealing here, that's out of our control. Several of y'all have made this point. That is nothing you can do here. You can take a political position if you want to make this body political, but I heard you earlier today say you didn't want to do that. But as it stands right now, we're not faced with the issue of our employees being required to have a vaccine as of yet. And I'm sure we'll deal with that in the future when that comes about. But right now, I don't know anything that's enforcing a mandatory vaccine on county government workers, and those are the ones that we care about, and those are the ones that we have jurisdiction through personnel policies.
Thank you, Jay.
You're debating an issue that's really not ripe for discussion at the county level.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. There's a couple more people that would like to speak from the audience. Sit here all evening. I want to let them be heard.
And there is a 3-minute limit, correct?
Yes, and please try to give us your name and address and keep your remarks to 3 minutes.
I find it fascinating that you all swear an oath to the Constitution of the United States and the state Tennessee Constitution and then say it's none of your business. I think that's pretty fascinating. So Marbury versus Madison, 1803, was the Supreme Court decision that authorized the law of the land to be the Constitution. And anything that is opposed to it is null and void. That was an 1803 decision. In 2012, just so you know, when you start quoting stuff from TV or your government, that in 2012, there was a Smith-Mundt Act, and it basically allowed Americans to be propagandized. So don't believe what you're told. The numbers are not right. And I can't get that to you in 3 minutes, but I'd be happy to educate you on that. Okay, so remember that you swore an oath upon taking office to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the state constitution. We elect you and provide consent to you to protect those rights, rights that do not end where Anderson County borders begin. In case you've forgotten, Article 6, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution is the Supremacy Clause, which states that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and any state law, including government executive orders, your county commission rulings, health department, anything that's repugnant is null and void, but that was also the Marbury versus Madison. The Fifth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution requires due process of law to be part of any proceeding that denies a citizen of life, liberty, or property. The Ninth Amendment protects citizens' unenumerated rights. That is, we have additional fundamental rights protected from governmental infringement that exist alongside other fundamental rights specifically included in the first 8 amendments. The 14th Amendment provides that no state shall make or enforce any law abridging the privileges or immunities of citizens in the U.S., nor deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without the process of law. I could go on and on and on here, but I got 3 minutes. So let me get on to some stories. My husband's got 2 stents in his heart. I've already had COVID. I slept next to him. He didn't even catch it, okay? I got super sick. I've got arthritis, other things underlying, and the man still didn't catch it. He's got 2 stents in his heart. He's not going to get the vaccine because my doctor, who's been an ER doctor in Knoxville for 26 years, has lost multiple patients at 29 years old, just woke up dead from heart, something happened, blood clots in the heart, and men are getting wiped out 8-1 are young men 25 years and under. You all aren't getting the numbers. I'm not on any side. As you know, I'm an independent. This is not politics. This is about our unenumerated rights, and we expect them to be protected by every single person. I don't care your sex, your race, your creed, or your politics. This is about the Constitution. Are you for it or are you not? It's that simple. And these guys, every one of them needs to be protected. Okay? I have 7 times the protection against COVID than any of y'all that have been vaccinated. And in fact, they're finding out you're getting a 40% reduction in your immune system after 2 of them. That's why you're getting it over and over again. The hospitals are lying about the numbers. I have a whole crew on this. It's getting on the medical aspect. I can't get to you in 3 minutes, but if you want to put this off, you're welcome to ask questions. Go ahead.
We got I need to just move on to somebody behind you.
First of all, I'm Debbie Barnes, 156 Cedar Lane in Andersonville. I thank the mayor for being so proactive because this is coming. I have no doubt it's coming. And we have put you in this position for our community, for our people. And I ask you to do the right thing. To do nothing would be the wrong thing. You need to step up, even if you think it's not it's not in your jurisdiction. Why not stand up for what is right? I have a son and a daughter. She's a school teacher, high school teacher, was at Clinton High School. I have a son who's a firefighter. For medical reasons, either of them can take the vaccine. I didn't get the vaccine because I got COVID at 66 years old. I took, the D, C, zinc, did fine. I was around a lot of people, didn't know I was sick. They didn't even get it. So, we could go into all that, but I don't want it to get into, I'm not a medical person. I know of a lot of people who have recently felt threatened. They're losing their jobs. They're not going to be given the option of a test. Now, this was their employee's decision, but when are we going to make a stand against this sort of thing? I know of at least 2 close friends who have been told they will not accept their medical exemption. One has been told by his doctor he has a condition that I can't even pronounce, but it's so serious that he has told him he can no longer take any kind of vaccines. He talked to his employer, it doesn't matter. Please, I'm just representing those many people that are out there right now that are getting ready to lose their jobs. And it is going to be something you all are going to have to face, so why not face it now? Instead of being on the defensive, be on the offensive. Thank you for what you're doing. but we're watching you, and we want to see you stand up for us.
Thank you. Sure. Has everybody spoke? Okay. Okay. Go. Come on up. Give us.
Joseph Jones, 104 Mallard Lane, Oak Ridge. A lot of things have already been said that I wanted to say, but just to expand on what Commissioner Meade said, this is not politics. This is the Constitution, and you guys swore an oath to uphold that Constitution. It's not about my belief. It's not about your belief. I mean, I respect yours just as much as you would respect mine. But a non-vote or voting to not oppose this basically is basically saying we just, again, want to stay out of it. That's just throwing it away right there, I believe. Whether or not it's a message, whether or not this board can actually affect something done at the federal level, right now workers are being affected at the federal level. There's not testing or vaccine. It's vaccine or nothing. I mean, you've read the news, Oak Ridge, UCOR, we accept your exemptions, but hey, we can't accommodate you. There's no more teleworking. We can't afford the multiple tests. But yet, they could take the federal money all the last year and a half when people were working remotely. People were getting money. The mission continued out there. And now all of a sudden it's a hardship. Something's just not right. And we're having to fight that right now. I mean, first day of unpaid leave. You know about the lawsuit, the class action lawsuit. You got some judges that stayed that order. I mean, everybody's fighting. But y'all have an opportunity right now, whether it's just to send a message, but to show your constituents that, hey, I hear you. I don't believe in the mandate, so oppose it. Whether or not it does something or not, you don't know. But at least you're showing us you hear us and you care, and that you do believe it's our choice. Whether it's a choice to get the vaccine or not to get the vaccine, but you believe it's our choice. And I believe y'all believe that. So if you would, please vote to oppose the mandate at this time. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Yeah, again, I'm Todd Waterman, 418 Orchard Knob Road, Clinton. I don't think that the federal government should be telling any of us what to do without a compelling reason. But I think that's true both politically and ethically. But in this case, I think there's some very compelling reasons that we can't run stop signs. We have to wear a helmet when we ride a motorcycle, not to protect us, but so that I don't have to pay higher insurance if I run into you.
I don't think we can't hear you on the microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think you said, Steve, did you not say that in a crisis, the government could issue a mandate?
Not for an unapproved vaccine.
No, that's for the FDA. They actually did approve the Pfizer a few weeks ago, I think officially.
No, they didn't.
Oh, okay, I'm mistaken. But they were all approved for emergency use, right?
But the current federal law prohibits mandates of any unapproved vaccine, period. And none of these vaccines have been approved.
They were all approved for emergency use.
But during emergency use, they cannot be mandated. That's the law.
Okay. The COVID has killed 700,000 of us. That's equivalent to the entire city of Nashville being incinerated by the Death Star. I think that's a serious crisis. The epidemiologists are saying now that pretty much 100% of unvaccinated Americans, unless they wear masks, social distance, etc., are going to get COVID. And getting a vaccination, you know, I'm an old man. I felt a little tired after my second shot for the day. It was no big deal. Statistically, the chances of vaccination harming anyone are vanishingly small. Well, maybe not on Facebook, but again, Facebook makes its money telling us what we want to see, not what we need to know.
Got to cut you off, Mr. Waterman. We're at past the 3-minute mark. Let me get to Commissioner Creasy, and then hopefully we'll be ready for a vote.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons I pressed the button. I'm going to need to leave pretty soon, and I was wanting to vote before I leave. We not only represent the folks in here that oppose us on this vote, we also represent the people that want us to vote for it. And I think the people, I represent all of Anderson County, but I also represent District 7. And I promise those people that vote for me that I'd represent them. And I think I've done that for the last few years. And I'm going to continue to try to do that. But we need to move on and vote. So that was the main reason for pressing the button.
Commissioner Isbell.
Yeah, just real quick, and I know Commissioner Creasy's got some obligations at home he's got to take care of, but when we get done with this vote, I'd like to go into the redistricting resolution, kind of skip and go ahead and take care of that while everybody's still here.
That's fine.
Very good.
Call for the question, Mr. Chairman.
Can I just speak on this issue real quick? I'm sorry, but it impacts my family and my life, so before we take a vote.
Mr. Chairman, unless it's something new or different that we haven't
Is it a?
No, it's about the issue we're talking about the vaccine mandate.
What?
Chairman, I
Can't,
call for the question.
he's got parliamentary procedure. He's called for the vote, so we kind of need to move along. But I've asked several times to let everybody talk, but do you have anything new or different to kind of add to it?
Yeah, I do. With leaving the medical aspects of it, I'll leave that aside, just on a practical level. Now, for the last 18 months, I've been doing my job.
Can we get a name and address?
Yeah.
My name is Jim Landry. I live at 118 Wendover Circle, Oak Ridge. So those of you who know where I live, because you're the commissioners in the 6th District, will know how I'm going to vote, and my wife and my neighbors. But for 18 months, I've been working with individuals suffering with mental health, substance abuse issues in our community, helping them transition from jail, from the streets, back into our communities. I find it insane that the entity I work for now is sitting overhead and deciding whether or not by my merit, to continue doing my job to help citizens of Anderson County return to Anderson County a lot healthier than when they were incarcerated or when they were drug addicted. They're going to determine my work and ability to continue working with these individuals based on whether or not I take a shot of something I am so completely opposed to. And if you ask me, well, you don't have to get a shot, just take a test. None of your business. I'm not taking a test for anything. Where is that I have to be required to take a test for anything? You want to hire me? You want to tell me I need a TB test to be able to come into the jail or the court or to certain institutions? I got no problem with that. I'll take your TB test. You tell me I got to take a flu shot, and tell me I got to take a untested vaccine, you know, and quite honestly, that's why actually our country is so opposed politically. That's why I like to know where somebody stands. So that's why I do like to have, you know, a letter next to their name to see where they're standing, and where they're voting, and where their belief system lies, because it's philosophical how we move on with this country. So, but, and just one more quick practical note. I have about $15,000 in contract work waiting on my house, because when I was in Florida 2 weeks ago, Disney, taking my kids there, thankfully they didn't have to, didn't have to give account for, you know, the $600+ I took out to spend on Legoland and Disney, okay? That'll be coming soon, I'm sure, when I have to give account of taking my money out of my bank account. But I had contracts drawn up, but when I was down there, I read from our director of compliance that they're talking about vaccines and mandates, and what, if any, exemptions might be there. So so you want to talk about a trickle-down effect. So I have two companies ready to come in and do a significant amount of work, and I'm sure those men working for those companies would love to have that income. But I have that on hold now, because I'm waiting to see if I'm going to be continuing working for the entity I work for, or I'm not. So that's just a practical level, and I know that I'm not the only one in that situation. But, I mean, this is a horrific violation of the Constitution, and anybody telling me over my dead body will I be taking a jab, or my kids, or my wife, that we are so opposed to. That's all I have to say to that.
Let's go to the board and vote. Did you have anything?
Request a recorded vote.
Yes, yeah. I mean, the board votes enough, right?
Restate what we're voting on, Mr. Chairman.
The motion is opposing the federal, support the resolution opposing the federal mandate, as amended to include Anderson County employees.
So a yes, I want to be sure. Yes is the vote to support, or the
Yes is a vote to oppose oppose the mandate. Support the yes is to support the resolution opposing the mandate.
I need to have that explained again. If you want the state to support, in the event that the mandate is sent out to the counties, that our employees have to have vaccines or testing to keep their jobs, if you support that, okay, then you would be, this resolution is to ask the state to defend us against that if it happens. So this is supporting the rights of the people to make their own decisions, to not take an unlicensed, unapproved vaccine. Okay.
this is opposing the resolution. That's what we need to know. Is that correct?
This is supporting the resolution that's opposed. Do you need to change? Do you need to revote?
Looks like it passed 10-4.
10-6.
10-6.
Are you,
I'm okay.
are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. We can revote if you need to. Motion passes 10-6. Any, ready, Chairman Isbell?
Let's do the redistricting next.
That's what we're doing.
Redistrict plan 930 passed to send a full commission for approval. District committee meeting on September 30, 2025.
Mr. Chairman, can you be quiet?
Yes. Sorry, got too much chatter.
And that would be, in other words, we didn't get all the minutes. I think Annette she was out sick, so she was trying to do these from home. So I don't know exactly, I think McCamey actually made the motion to send it to full commission for full approval. And I think Commissioner Wandell made the second, if I am correct. And with that, we have resolution number 21-10-893, which says, whereas Tennessee Code annotated section 51111 requires that at least every 10 years, county legislative bodies shall meet and change the boundaries of county legislative districts or redistrict a county entirely, if necessary, to apportion the county legislative bodies with the members present substantially equal populations, and whereas consistent with the provisions of Tennessee Code annotated section 5-1-111, Anderson County has prepared a redistricting plan which provides for a county legislative body composed of 16 members from 8 geographic districts with 2 members from each district as depicted on the official redistricting map for Anderson County prepared pursuant to Tennessee Code annotated section 51-110. Now therefore be it resolved by the Anderson County Board of Commissioners meeting in regular session at Clinton, Tennessee on the 18th day of October 2021 at section 1 there is hereby adopted a redistricting plan for Anderson County which provides for 2 commissioners in each 8 districts for a total county legislative body of 16 members. The districts for members of the county legislative body are depicted on the official district map for Anderson County prepared pursuant to Tennessee Code annotated section 51-110. A copy of the official redistricting map is attached as Exhibit A to this resolution is incorporated herein by reference. Section 2, all members of the county legislative body shall be elected at large within the district wherein the candidate seeks election. The 2 candidates receiving the greatest number of votes in each district shall be elected. This plan shall take effect upon passage of public welfare requirement and provide that vacancies shall be filled in accordance with Tennessee Code annotated section 5-1-104.
Motion by
Sure.
Commissioner Wandell, seconded by Commissioner McCamey, and that's approving that's the 930.
Resolution.
Yes.
Yes, 930 plan.
Any discussion, comments on the census redistricting? Okay, let's go to the board and vote. Fifteen yes, 1 no. Motion passes.
All right.
Oh, Commissioner Wandell.
Just real quick, Mr. Chairman, I just want to thank Chairman of the Operations Committee, Mr. Isabel. Chairman Isabel, he did a great job on the redistricting, and I know everyone else participated, but appreciate what he did. I think it was fair, and it was really good job, so thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And Billy Brown really helped in
Yes.
having the new room in 118 with a computer. We went from 3 months to 3 meetings. Yeah.
Good job.
Okay.
It was good, great job.
Next was Commissioner Wandell made a motion to approve Resolution 21-10-896 to allow the mayor to execute opiate settlement documents if they are time sensitive and to forward to full commission for approval. Commissioner Scott seconded the motion. Motion passed.
Motion by Commissioner McCamey, seconded by Commissioner Wandell. Any discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Commissioner Fritz go home?
Yes.
Oh, I guess, I guess, maybe just mark him absent for this vote. He'll come back. Motion passes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, Commissioner Wandell made a motion opposing Resolution 21-10-897, asking Anderson County Republican Democratic parties to rescind their primary elections to not include the commission and school board members to come in partisan races. Motion was amended to make all of Anderson County, mayor, constable, sheriff, etc., partisan and pass a private act of this. Commissioner Scott seconded the motion. Motion passed forward to full commission for approval. It says Chairman Anderson, but it was Chairman Isbell abstained.
Was that a proposing or opposing?
It says motion opposing Resolution 21, asking Anderson County Republican Democrat to rescind. It should be,
The resolution, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
it actually says resolution respectively requesting the local Democratic and Republican executive committees to rescind their request to the Anderson County Election Commission to hold party primaries for county commission constables and school board elections. Resolution 21-10-897.
Was that all your comment?
Oh, I was just reading.
Oh,
That's it.
Got a motion, Commissioner Wandell. Commissioner Meade, did you have a?
Well, I just have a quick comment. We need to revise this, because the school board elections is already codified in state law, and it would not be changed by that letter. It really should only say primaries for county commission and constables.
There's a whereas clause that addresses that, if you read on that.
No, this is
I'm simply pointing out that nothing that they do can change the fact that school board elections are required under state law, under the Tennessee Code annotated, and under separate law. And so that can't be changed, but if it's mentioned in here, it still doesn't change it.
That's correct.
I
I don't think we're asking it to change for the school board.
I think the purpose.
We're saying to keep it like it's supposed to be.
Yes.
Yeah. And the purpose of the resolution is to ask
Correct.
both parties.
Correct, not
to
demand,
rescind.
just respectfully request.
Yeah.
That's all.
Any other discussion? Let's go to the board and vote.
Yeah.
Okay. 14 yes, 2 no, motion passes.
Let's see. Under new business, Commissioner Anderson made a motion for Commissioner Wandell and Mayor Frank be representatives for the Energy Committee Alliance. Commissioner Meade seconded the motion. Motion passed forward to full commission for approval.
Motion by Commissioner McCamey, seconded by Commissioner Wandell. Any discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes the Operations Committee report.
Thank you, Chairman Isabel. Next, we've got Intergovernmental Committee report by Chairwoman Denenberg.
This will be short and sweet, sir. Intergovernmental Committee met October 11, 2021. Present with Catherine Denenberg, Tim Isbell, Bob Smallridge, Tracy Wandell, Shane Bell, and Josh Anderson. Motion was made. Well, the whole purpose of the meeting was to elect a new chair, and unfortunately, I got it. Commissioner Wandell made a motion to bring the discussion of the Norris and Rocky Top dispatch being joined with the Anderson County dispatch. Commissioner Val seconded the motion. Motion passed unanimously to bring forward to full commission for approval, but I don't think that that's necessary since it was nothing more than just bringing it to intergovernmental for discussion. So I was reading from the incorrect minutes. Sorry about that, but I'm sure I was heard.
Yes.
Under new business, we did discuss, and it was voted on to invite Mark Lucas for the November meeting to discuss the ins and outs of combining the different dispatches. With that, we adjourned. That's the end of
New
the report.
business?
I
Oh,
just
sorry.
want to make an motion.
Oh,
for
yeah,
full
I'm sorry.
commission, So,
Yes.
again, in the meeting, we just were saying, let's bring it, the request from Rocky Top and Norris to have dispatch, as the chairwoman said, we just want to get that dialogue going. So I think it's appropriate to have a motion to support that from this full body.
Got a motion, Commissioner Wandell, seconded by Commissioner Isabel. And do you have discussion?
No, this is upcoming in new business.
Oh, okay, okay. Let's go to the board and vote.
Okay, what is it we're voting on right now?
We're voting on the, supporting the
Oh, yeah.
dispatch or
Just to
central.
have discussion,
just
have
to
them come in.
Have it, okay. Yes, have Commissioner Lucas, or Director Lucas come to the intergovernmental committee. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under new business, I'd like to, Commissioner Val is the chairman of the Justice Center Committee. And if you ever want to make people mad, you get them upset over their soccer fields. And I've had several people reach out to me about that. And although we've had a couple of discussions, we hadn't got anywhere. And I'm sure that if there's a decision to build, there's no money being appropriated, that the soccer fields will be the number one thing that we make sure is taken care of somehow. And Commissioner, or Chairman Val, if you don't mind.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're nowhere near that at this point. We've done a couple of meetings, I believe, Mayor. Mr. Blankenship has brought some designs. We're still in the discussion phase. I guess I'm flattered that people think that government moves that quickly, but I found out that on most occasions it don't. But no, that's not anywhere near in the near future at all. But thank you for bringing that so we can clarify that for the public. Thank you.
Any other new business? Oh, Mayor Frank.
Just very quickly, Leo York has been working with our archives department on identifying a lot of folks who were buried over the years at the Poor Farm. And he would like to see the county do something like put up a historical marker that notates that. And the area he is looking at is TVA-owned property. So this isn't anything official. I think he's working on some sign designs and things like that that would come back through a full committee process. But I would like you all to authorize me to reach out to TVA to investigate if they would grant us the authority to do that or to start working on that. So this is just a motion to say, yep, and that way when I reach out to TVA, they know I'm not speaking on my behalf, that it's the county's behalf.
Motion by Commissioner Wandell.
Motion to allow the mayor
With
to
that.
contact TVA for possibility of getting some land to locate a marker for the Poor Farm in Anderson County.
And I certainly support that as a second. And the other thing too that I know that he's very interested in doing was getting that cleaned up.
Yeah. Yep.
Because evidently it's pretty poorly maintained.
Any other discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Motion passes unanimously. Any other new business? Any old business? Oh, go ahead, Commissioner Wandell.
Sorry, I didn't have, there we go. I just want to make an announcement under new business. October 30th at the Claxton Park, we're going to have the Claxton Volunteer Fire Department. I think all the volunteer fire departments are going to come that night. It's trunk or treat, it's free, and encourage everybody to come. October 30th. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sure I'll have some candy, and how long it lasts. We had 1,000 pieces last time, and it was gone. So I give all kinds of candy away. For you, I have dum-dums. That just came
Stop
out.
recording. Stop.
You can. You know I love you, Commissioner.
Commissioner McCamey.
Yeah, I just want to point out that the contract for East Wolf Valley
After only 52 years.
Convenience Center was approved, and they actually started working today. They had machinery over there taking down some trees, cleaning up the exterior of the place, so started today.
Just in case people didn't hear, my good friend Commissioner McCamey, the East Wolf Valley Convenience Center started today, pushing dirt, and it's on its way, contract's done. Thank
Right.
you for all you've done, and the mayor and Jay Yeager and Solid Waste Board, I appreciate it. I know the people appreciate it. And I've been telling people it should be done in about 2 weeks.
You'll start getting some calls.
There you go again. Commissioner Isbell, do you have, any old business?
Most to adjourn. That means my bottle from the night there, my bottle from the other night.